Now, my GOAT has always been simple, but ZywOo just earned his 7th MVP in a row and got the major MVP. Do you know how much belief I had? I was sat there at one point screaming at the TV. By the way, I'm in an arena, so I say screaming at TV. I'm screaming like I've got fans near me, and I'm screaming at the screen.
And I remember being 1 minute too late to checking in to the major qualifier.
No.
They had them on the ropes, and they had them on the ropes on both maps.
Yeah.
And they looked really shaky there for a while.
We are back, and it's time for another episode of the All About Counter-Strike podcast. As always, you've got me, James Banks, hosting here finally at home after being so far away, and our other host, Devilwalk, on the same time zone as me. So let's do this one, Devil, because this will be fun. It is the 25th of June, 2025. It is 7:37 in the evening for me, which means it's 6:37 in the evening for you. And actually, it's the 25th for you as well. It's not the 26th. We are in the same day.
It feels so weird to finally record an episode where I'm not chugging coffee for the sake of being awake in the middle of the night. I'm actually just, all right, I'll have a coffee. It won't affect my sleep. It won't ruin me for another. You know, when you're above 30, it feels like it ruins you for another 2 days, not just 1 day.
Did you really feel that bad?
Dude, it was terrible. Because, you know, we ended I think the NQC episode, we ended at 7 in the morning for me, right?
Oh.
And for me, when we finish like a recording, especially if we do it late, I can't just fall asleep instantly. It takes me
your brain's awake.
Time, even though I'm like so tired I could like collapse. It takes me a little bit of time till I can fall asleep. So it probably took me an hour. And then 2 hours later, I had a job because we have a dog right now, which we're like kind of babysitting. 2 hours later.
Oh, it's not your dog. You didn't tell me this.
So I had to like sleep, 1.5 hour, wake up, walk the dog, go back.
Oh, that wrecks your sleep, bro. That's terrible.
Yeah. So I was completely ruined. Completely gone.
Do you know what? It's crazy because obviously I had to do the Astana episode when I just didn't sleep before. But like then I was just traveling all day and kind of sleeping on planes. Yours sounds much worse because you started to sleep, got wrecked by waking up. Like that's probably the worst thing to do is go to sleep and then wake up again and then try go back to sleep afterwards because your body wants to go into a deep sleep. It thinks like, oh, heaven, finally. And then you're like, nope, time to go walking outside in the sun.
And it's one of those, you have to walk, pick up the shit of the dog, longer walk. It was one of those. So I just basically woke up again and then I went to sleep and tried to fall asleep again. So it was, it ruined me for the next 2 days, I'd say.
I don't know. We need to ask our editor Noel at some point, but obviously he then stayed awake after you finished at 7 in the morning to then edit the episode and get it together. So he's probably even more doubly wrecked. That's what we're doing, guys. That's commitment to it. What have you been doing these past few days? What have you been doing since I last spoke to you? Obviously, you watched Major.
I mean, most of the time I've actually been playing a lot of Counter-Strike. I think me and Michael were trying to reach, I think we said the ultimate goal is just get up to 4K elo on FaZe, and then
4K. Bro, wait for me. I can't. You get so far ahead of me, and my queues are going to be horrible.
Yeah, so I think last time I played with you, I was 2.7 or something like that. Well, I'm up at 3K now.
We're just not playing together then. Just Premier for us now.
Well, I can still play with you, but we'll be with this -1 elo, +1 elo situation.
Yeah, you won't be getting anything, and I'll probably also won't be getting anything. We'll have to see how that works out. God damn, I went away for a month, and look what you did to me.
Yeah,
you left me.
First goal, 3.5K, and then move ourselves up to 4K.
Trying to see if the boomers have still got it.
I think so.
Do you meet some people that you think like how, because obviously people talk about this a lot on FaZe, they're like, how are these people level 10, how are they playing at this elo? There's a lot of people trying to say right now there are like elo boosted players like crazy.
I think a lot of people, at least like, I wouldn't consider them like bad aim wise or anything, but they have a really big problem working together, and there's a lot of baiters like.
Oh, great.
And these people, you can make a call.
Yeah.
They'll like say that they're gonna do it, but they don't do it. Like middle of the round, they just start doing something else. So I think it's a pure gamble sometimes. Sometimes you like 25% of all games you just lose because you're not compatible with whoever you're playing with.
And you're two stacking. So we crashed out. We're home, but errors still happened. This time it's on me. Screw this PC. No, my PC is actually goated. I'm not even going to start being horrible to it. That'll be a slippery slope to take. But yeah, your face it is a bit of a gamble, Devilwalk.
Yeah,
But at least you're grinding elo. That's a positive. We're
grinding
happy with
elo.
that.
Been playing a little bit with Michael. Been playing a little bit with Get Right Freiberg, Forest, Olof.
Okay, you're running it
Joining
back
the
some old
Boomer
days.
Demons a little bit, just for a couple of games.
We're gonna get you
Um,
streaming soon. They all stream.
yeah, I was thinking about streaming, but honestly, like
Oh,
even playing right now, it's a bit laggy. That's why I'm like, I
you need
think
an
there's
upgrade, man.
yeah, I think I need to upgrade or something. Something needs to change in my PC at least. I don't think
You
everything,
need one of the AMDs. You need one of the AMDs. The AMD changes the game for how well
because I'm
the run
dropping
CS.
under 200 FPS sometimes when I'm playing.
Really?
Yeah,
Bro,
it's
imagine if you had
terrible.
my PC. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna give you the setup. I'm gonna tell you what to get.
Yeah,
Because if you start playing with the AMDs, you'll be minimum 450, 500 FPS. Minimum.
yeah. Minimum. I thought you were gonna say minimum 4K elo on the FIFA.
No, you'll definitely level up because you won't have any stuttering problems, any lag. That's crazy. You have to play with that. You are actually, Devil, you're probably the most relatable to the average normal player who has these problems all the time. Because, like,
Yep,
when I'm
but I
streaming,
played with
people
him
say to
my
me,
entire career as well. You know,
but
I remember
people, when
being
I'm
sponsored
streaming,
by ASO screens. Do you remember these?
yeah,
I had one of those like my entire playing career.
wow.
It was like 10 times the normal MS of a Hertz screen.
Bro, we gotta have you upgraded, man. That's actually crazy. Yeah, we're gonna give you some updates of what you should be trying to improve on your PC. You sound well overdue on one, man, in a big way.
Yeah.
But let's get into the episode. My voice, I'm gonna try hold out because I traveled for like nearly 20 hours back. They lost two of my bags. Between me and my
What?
wife, we had 4 suitcases. They lost two of them. I was like, great. Thanks very much, Lufthansa. By the way, Lufthansa is like, I'm just going to say it is the most dog shit airline in the world. There probably is worse, but I fly only Star Alliance because I like the points you get, right? Austrian, million times better. Lufthansa, I swear to God, like every time it's a problem. Like
Don't you get
now,
your tomato juice there?
yeah, you get tomato juice. I get tomato juice. But I mean, like just the service. So we flew to America on United. Yeah.
Yeah.
And just the selection of food, the drinks, the seats were bigger, it was more comfy. And then you go on Lufthansa and it's like you've gone to budget Europe of we're just trying to save money and still charge an extortionate amount of money for a flight. It was a horrendous flight back. And then do you know what? I woke up this morning at 5 a.m. and I was like, oh no, I'm awake. And I was like, this is gonna be terrible. And somehow I just within like maybe an hour and a half, I went back to sleep and woke up at 12. So, like, I feel
Oh,
like I
that's
already beat
perfect.
any form of jet lag. I feel like I'm adjusted straight away. I was so worried when I looked at my phone. I was like, oh, it's like 5 in the morning. I feel very like alert and like I should be doing stuff. And went back to sleep and I have no problems now. I feel pretty good. I feel like maybe I'll even stream in a couple of days. We should be good to be rocking and
All
rolling, man.
right.
Just got to get a load of stuff done. It is player break time. But then also there's tons of news coming out. So we're obviously going to talk first of all about the major. We'll
Yeah.
talk about just our thoughts on everything. So the last one we did was obviously going into playoffs.
Yes.
We spoke about everything with NQZ. It was great to have him on. He spoke for so long. By the way, we seem to choose professionally yapping guests all the time. Manasi
It's
was like,
perfect.
Manasi was like, oh, the episode will be about an hour, right? I said, yeah. Then he yaps for like nearly two. NQZ did 3 hours. Obviously, we spoke about some things, not just him. Hooksy was the
Did you almost 5 hours?
yeah, it was like I guess four and a bit hours that we put the full episode out at. But yeah, he was just yapping nonstop as well. We're choosing the right guest for all of this, man. So
Yep.
because I was there, obviously, right? So for
Yep.
me, it's a whole different, cooler experience. What was it like for you watching it all from home, time zone wise? Did you enjoy it all?
Uh, I'll say it like obviously some of the days where you had the second game starting pretty late.
Yeah.
Usually around 2, sometimes at 3 at night. Those were really hard to actually follow what was going on. You had to kind of rewatch some in the morning, going into the next day. But it was really good watching time for the first game because that usually ended around,
Yeah.
I think it started like 21 or something, then it's 20, 21, something along those lines. But obviously, we got some banger games. There was one in particular, the Spirit versus Mouse was going late into the night.
Yeah. That one
But
wasn't
the
so
viewing
easy.
experience was good. The crowd seemed great, to be honest. I think it. What was it? The American event before? I don't know.
Dallas before.
It was Dallas before. For some reason, I
Yeah.
thought this crowd was a lot better than at Dallas.
I think just because it's so much bigger than Dallas. Obviously, I didn't do Dallas last year, but I've done Dallas the years before that.
Yeah.
Dallas is a great crowd and it's a cool arena, but it's very small in comparison.
Okay.
Um, so like you're not gonna get that same energy. And obviously, when it comes to Dallas, there's also the exhibition hall that they have for DreamHack and stuff on the side of it. So they're probably not always in until maybe the grand final.
Yeah.
I felt like the grand final crowd was still pretty good, but yeah, Dallas looked obviously it is a lot smaller, and this
Uh,
is a major.
yeah. But I thought the crowd, the setting, the arena, it was all great. I was a little bit weirded out by the desk at some point because it was like a desk in the entrance with a shop in the back.
Yeah.
Just see people trolling behind the desk segment, which maybe it's the thing for some people, but personally,
Mhm.
I thought it was a bit weird. Thought it felt a bit off placed, like misplaced in some sense.
Yeah. See, I think it was done because obviously I'm not in desk hosting, right? I think they went for just like with everything of this major, the full American approach, you know? So
Yeah.
like regularly you'll see in American sports things, they do like a lobby segment and they're just sat down in chairs with fans behind them.
Okay.
Yeah, like there is desk for the studio games, for example, in a normal place, and then they'll try and change it up. So it felt like it was a lot of moving around. I love the one where they had like Moses was kept going on camera, and there's a guy holding a bald sign above his head. And then like the guys that turned up and they just had sunglasses on. So I think it was meant for like the American humor, giving us a different like location
Yeah.
for it all. Um,
But it was weird sometimes. You would see the desk talk about the game, and then all of a
yeah,
sudden, there's a pause, and it's the same people at the arena after like a couple of minutes.
yeah.
So I don't know. It felt weird to me, but maybe it's something that's just me get a little bit iffy about.
I'll say this.
I
I think what you're saying about the crowd, by the way, and how good the major crowd was.
Yeah.
Just imagine that this is my opinion. I don't know how this would work, but if Blast did a 360 stage, 360-degree stage for that major, they could have sold more seats and it would have been incredible because it was sold out all days. It did always look fantastic. Obviously, on the second game, it was a bit better. I think at the beginning game, still people like coming in at the start of it all each time, but still a good number of bums on seats. But if they had 360 arena, they could have opened up like the back parts of the arena, which obviously is closed off because you have the stage in front of it,
Yeah.
and like I this is just opinion. I was there. I didn't speak to anyone about it, but I imagine they looked at this afterwards and went, "Damn, we really could have done this." Because not only did they sell out, but the arena was loud. Everyone was super confident. Everyone was enjoying it. Everyone was going crazy.
Yeah.
Um, they were having like a wild time. The American crowd was engaged in everything that was happening. Obviously,
No,
even
it's a great crowd. It was a
on
great crowd.
Sunday, I wasn't supposed to do any stage, right? On Sunday, I got to do the show match just so I could help the guys out because obviously they had so much to prepare for in like the way they're doing the grand finals and the opening and stuff. So I got asked to do the show match bit, and I was like, "Oh, I'm just gonna have so much fun." I didn't get much time to talk with the crowd because you have to be so quick to get a show match. People I know love some show match stuff. I do think we just need to stop doing them because it'd be better if we just had a best of 5 final or a third place decider or something like that and give them more value for their money on a Sunday. But still, there was enough crowd in there supporting their Americans, having some fun with it as well. And
Yeah.
even when people were not even full in the arena, that crowd was still epic. So for me to get to experience, I also got to see it from the stage side as well. And I met so many people, by the way, who traveled. Like, there was a group of British guys, maybe 5, 6 British
I
guys
saw you
with
interviewing too.
flags. Yeah, and they were like, they were cheering on Mezii. They traveled from the UK, and I'm thinking, okay, you spent money and you traveled and you came to the major. There were some Europeans I met from Netherlands, some Finnish guy as well. Obviously, very sad that Alexi didn't go further in the tournament. Like,
Yeah.
it was a very American crowd and arena, but there was a lot of people that traveled from all around the world to come for a major. And the reason I'm more impressed is because I feel like it is easier and cheaper at times to travel to Europe than it is to America.
Yeah.
Like, it's like if you're a European, you come from all different places and you get some Americans travel over. Internal American flights are expensive, by the way. Like if you're looking at inside America, it's
Yeah.
hella expensive. But like traveling international or traveling for us in Europe is not too bad in comparison. But I honestly, I think we had a whale of a time, and it's crazy that the first day of quarterfinals was like so much better than almost every other day
Yep.
because like I didn't expect MongolZ to 2-0 FaZe, yeah. Vitality Navi, you could maybe expect the Vitality would 2-0 'em. I was at least hoping we'd get a third map. Obviously, I'm always hoping that Navi would win. But like the Mouz Spirit game was incredible. Let's start with that one because it was the first one, right?
Yep.
Um, Mouz Spirit, yeah. Mouz have never, ever had a chance more than they had then, right? Of having a fantastic opportunity to really dominate Spirit. Obviously, it's their map pick, and we've seen a lot of good plays. They played Liquid on Mirage, right? Which also went crazy over time. And I thought, okay, this time, Mouse is going to win Mirage in style, no problem at all. And then suddenly we get one of the most epic series of the whole major, and they lose it. And I think, oh God, this is happening again. The fact they could come back from that, as well as we've all got to remember that they were 0-2 down, is crazy impressive.
It
It is
is.
crazy. And it's teamwork that did it. It's all different players playing well at different
Yeah.
times.
I think for me watching when Spirit kind of took the lead or took the control eventually on Mirage, I thought it
Yeah.
was over. I thought it was
Yeah.
completely
That
over.
it,
I thought Spirit would win this game hands down because Mouse looked a little bit sluggish. You know,
mhm.
even the games that's coming all this way from the position they were in, even though they had some easier opponents, they were struggling through these
Every opponent they struggled.
matches
Every game.
every
Yeah.
single game. And I don't know. I thought that Shiro and Donk, they looked great. I thought Sontix, he had some moments. I had like, almost nothing in me telling me that Mouse would turn this series around after that Mirage,
Yeah.
but they did it. And, I feel like they got into this underdog position in a weird way, even though
Yeah.
they're like the second best team in the world, where every round meant the world to them. You could see it
Yeah.
on Torch's face. You could see it on every time they won a round. All that energy that they kind of exuded throughout that series. Uh, yeah, it just looked like they wanted it a little bit more in some sense.
Yeah. I'll say this, right? When you're the thing I was most impressed with Mouse is let's just look at this. So in 2025, they've had a series at EPL and a series at Blast Open Lisbon. Out of 6 maps, on 3 have gone to overtime before
Yeah,
this major fight, yeah? And always in overtime is when Mouse wins. That's where I was worried for Mouse losing Mirage. And the fact they were able to come back, win on Dust 2, then do it on Nuke as well, and have this insane CT side. Like what were they down? They were down,
they were down
they were
8-4 at least on
8-7,
Nuke.
but also 8-4.5, and then also 8-7 to then just claw it back and get every single round after that.
Yeah,
Like,
and then they were down 7-2
wow.
on a nuke as well, which they made to 8-4 and then 9-2 CT half.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's so many moments where like it just didn't feel like it was even conceivable for them to claw it back,
Yeah.
especially on nuke. I think Dust 2, they kind of won the engagement. They had some crazy rounds, but they had the control of that game
Mm-hmm.
throughout Dust 2. Um, even though they got into a rocky position, I mean, we have to remember they won pistol and lost the force buy, and then still made a 8-4 CT half on Dust 2.
Which is
That's not
so
an
good.
easy thing to do.
No.
And Spirit won pistol, so they actually like just dominated Spirit on Dust 2. But when you came along, I thought this was over. I mean,
Yeah.
they didn't get anything. But it
Who-
felt like
who-
Spirit was a bit stressed this game as well. I don't know. It's a complete like polar opposite when you look at the Spirit faces and you look at the Mouse faces. Every round, Mouse is winning. They're enjoying. They're screaming. They're loving life. You look at
yeah.
Spirit. It's almost like they expect to win the round
Yeah.
in a weird way. That when they lose, it's just full tilt. They looked stressed. They looked flustered. A lot of pressure went into that game for Spirits.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And then obviously we'll come on. We're going to talk about roster moves and stuff and the shuffles that are going to be happening
Yeah.
later. We're just going to cover the major first. But obviously it had repercussions for Spirit now
Yeah.
because changes are coming 100%. That is confirmed. Next game, the other quarter game, Pain versus Furia. Now, Pain obviously had that amazing game against VP, fighting all the way back. NQZ being so happy they made playoffs. But then I was so worried for these guys that they don't have experience in an arena, still a very young team outside of Big Azera, right? Their average age is 23.2 and Big Azera is 28,
Yeah.
Like all of them, by the way, every single player had only ever played one stage game. DGT back in Dallas 2024. The rest of them played during BGL Cluj Poker this year. So they don't have that experience. And you compare that to what Furia have, you think there's no way. Now, admittedly, on their pick of Nuke, it was a slow start. They didn't look like they had a single hope in hell's chance of doing anything. Molodoy was dominating. Yuri kept his form up from the group stage, which was obviously great to see for them. But then we go to Anubis. Now, Payne actually can play Anubis. They like it, but I'm not going to say they're like super good on it. But something changed within them. Obviously, Davide is winning X amount of clutches. Clutches he should not. He's not even a player I'm looking at to make those kind of clutches and having that impact. And then we get to Inferno, and honestly, for the first half, maybe the first 10 rounds of the game, I'm just gonna have to look at this. So let's have a look. CT
I'll
rating.
let you know though. This map was mega late. I think I had it on my phone while I was half asleep.
Yeah.
So you'll probably have to talk us through this one a bit more than I.
Okay. So the Inferno, right, to get to the decider. YEKINDAR drops a 1.91 rating on Banana, owning. Like, he looked incredible. He was 15 kills, 7 deaths. And then you go to his T side and he couldn't do anything. Now, Banana's hard. And in the loser interview, he did
Yeah.
say, like, to me that I played like a bot on the second half of the game. He got 3 kills and he died 13 times and he just wasn't
9
having
entry
impact.
deaths
Yeah.
on T side alone.
Yeah. Yeah. And he was getting bullied. And you were watching these rounds. So they were up, they won the pistol. So they were up 8-5, even though they conceded the last few rounds of the first half. And then Payne just went on this streak. But then Payne got to 12 and it was like they lost their ability to win. They started to bottle it. And then again, I just turned in my mind and I said, okay, sadly, Payne, as much as I was the only person to predict you guys to win this game, no other talent did it. I think you're screwed here. And then they go into overtime and they switch and they win every round and they start doing some aggressive. I think it was NQZ started doing some mid pokes with his orb.
Yeah.
They were back to being a bit more coordinated. I guess they just had like no fear at that point. They were like, shit, it's going down. Well, we're gonna go down fighting our way. And that really was the turning point for them. Um, Admittedly, when we look at what happened in the rest of the games, I think the Fury would have been a better matchup for the Mongols on stage.
Yeah.
But making it to semi-final, sorry, beating Furia in the quarters is such an impressive run for this team. And I know some people are like, oh, they're lucky to get there. Look at the teams they beat. They can't choose who they had to play against. Yeah, I know they might not look like the greatest team on paper to everyone, but let's see what they do next year before you start writing them off because
They're still gonna have a
they've got some things.
semi-finalist badge on
Yeah.
Counter Strike. No, but I think the one thing you can mention is a little bit that even though this is like super impressive from Pain, there's
Mhm.
also a lot to be impressed with Furia because
Yeah.
they are
Yeah.
themselves a brand new team. They've just gotten, I don't even know how many weeks, but probably 4 or 5 weeks before this event
Yeah.
to incorporate MongolZ and YEKINDAR, and they make it to the quarterfinals. With which I think if they would have that original lineup, they wouldn't even be close to getting this kind of result.
Yeah.
Looking at what their form was at the end, so just doing it this way with changing of roles, a lot of new stuff for them.
Mhm.
I think that's immensely impressive. 1 month of work and you're in a quarterfinal. So in that sense, maybe it was a little bit lucky from Pain to get Furia. Just because, especially if you get into these overtime situations, you're not going to have that as well. But
Yeah.
again, Pain is not a they're a completely new team too. They've just changed. They've, I don't know, two
Well,
players.
David Davis a bit earlier and then DGT afterwards, and he was
Yeah,
never at any events for him to get. I think it was like 13 days practice, they told me in the end, right? Total.
yeah. So it's a pretty fair fight. It's probably more
Yeah.
unfair for the other side of the bracket, which I think everyone was a little bit shocked when they saw the bracket formation with
Hmm.
Furia Pain on this side with FaZe Mongols and
Yeah.
Navi Vitality and Spirit Mouse on the other. I think
Well,
everyone went,
we know how
what
that
the
got messed
hell?
up. By the teams that are supposed to go 3-0, didn't go 3-0, on the paper
Yeah,
working out that way. So that changed a lot of things. Do you know the fun fact here as well is Payne obviously will keep this roster going forward into next season. They're not making any changes. For people who were saying that MongolZ is not a permanent player, he's on loan, that's incorrect. He's a permanent Furia player. It's only YEKINDAR that's on loan. And
yeah.
obviously, in the loser interview, YEKINDAR said he's not sure if this is what he's going to do, right? If he's going to stay here. I know 100% Furia want to keep him, but I guess it's up to his decision or whatever they want to work out on what that looks like. But it's like for me, I think YEKINDAR should stay there, but I guess he was very sad about his performance at the end there and put a lot of the blame on him, which is why he kind of had a bit more of a tame interview with me at the end about it. And
No,
by the
but
way,
I
shout out to
think,
Reddit, who normally just wreck me all the time. They were like, "Oh, that was such a nice interview," because obviously he was blaming himself a lot, and I tried to pick him back up. But it is still a team game. You might have had a horrible half, but you also were the only reason they were doing so well on CT side. Like you were dominating Banana, which is such
yeah,
a
I
key part of the
think
map.
for me, Yekindar is a no-brainer for him to stay. I think we've seen the resurgence of Yekindar going into this lineup. He had terrible, terrible stint in Liquid,
Yeah.
and now we're finally starting to see, glimpses and like big parts of his old self when he was considered probably the best entry fragger in the world at some point.
Hmm.
So I think it would be probably a mistake for him to just, okay, I'm back, let's leave it and go to somewhere else. I think that's a gamble. I think he should stay. I think there's a lot of potential with this Furia lineup, especially with giving them some more time, having a bit of an off season and going back into it, knowing there's
Yeah.
stability in the project. Because they shouldn't be thinking about changing anything. I think they found a good recipe and stick
Just
to
give it
it.
some more
And
time, man. I'm with you. Please
yeah,
stay. Keep this. Keep this.
I
This team's exciting. This
yeah,
Furia is exciting.
yeah, I agree.
100%. Next quarter's game, you'll probably wait for this one. This was
Yep.
Vitality Navi. Bro, Bro, this was heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking for me. Obviously, Vitality are supposed to win the major. They did go on to win the major. But Mirage,
Navi
the
looked
golden
good
pick
in
for
this
Na'Vi,
match.
they looked really good, bro. Like, do you know how much belief I had? I was sat there at one point screaming at the TV. By the way, I'm in an arena, so I say screaming at TV. I'm screaming like I've got fans near me, and I'm screaming at the screen because I'm like, we're actually going to do it. Like, we're actually going to be able to. But then I think we let the last 2 rounds slip of CT. I say we. Na'Vi let the last 2 rounds slip of CT. Then winning pistol was key. And then you win the force as well. And I thought they're going to do it. But the CT side, this is a team that's been together for so long. They fumbled it. And Alexi in his interview afterwards with me was obviously very like, yeah, we felt like we had them. We felt like we were playing well. And then that disconnect that keeps happening with them, it's not agreeing on certain things, not sticking to what they know in Blade's system. It just, yes, you're going up against Vitality, but like these teams don't know each other so well. They're not playing against each other. This is the first game they've played in nearly a year.
Yeah. No, but
Oh, and
I sincerely thought that everyone would walk out of this major with a bronze coin, Pickham's coin, if Navi won. Like
except for me.
I they had them on the ropes, and they had them on the ropes on both maps.
Yeah,
And Vitality looked really shaky there for a while. And as you said, it was just something started to click a little bit for
yeah.
Vitality, and they brought it back. But I
Bro,
mean,
on Nuke as well, right? So like
yeah,
Na'Vi wins both pistols CT, and I'm thinking, cool. In my mind, this is going to be like a 5-0 start. But they got like there was not enough CT rounds for, and it was, this is the problem. I almost think it would have been better if they started T side in
yeah.
one
But
of
this
those
is
weird situations because they played so horribly CT side Mirage. They continue to play horribly on Nuke, which is a CT sided map. And you, on that last round, Mezii, by the way, beast last round, the way he locked it down. He stops it from going to 12-12.
yeah.
And
But
he wins
I'll
it out
mention
for
one
him.
thing. I read this on Reddit and it reminded me of one of my first opinions about CS2,
Yeah.
and it's the fact, like if you look at this CT half from Navi,
Mhm.
they're losing it 7-5.
Yep.
If this was like an MR15, I'm pretty sure this is like an 8-7 half for Navi. And why I say that is
Mm.
because of the money system is so broken in CS2 compared to CS:GO,
Yep.
because of this loss bonus at 1400. It made a lot of sense in CS:GO when you had MR15,
Yeah.
because you could eventually build up and then break them, and then you could start to get on a roll. But it feels like a lot of the time you break them and the half is over, you know like
Hmm.
there's not enough. Once you figure them out, it's too late. Like you need it instantly, and it just feels like people can roll you over. You lose all money control, and eventually when you get to the point where you can build up, get some money, and start changing the momentum of the game, it just switches half. So I
Yeah.
feel like the 1400 round bonus doesn't make sense. If you're gonna have less rounds, I think it should start at 1900
Okay.
uh, from the start, just to give people, it's like one more round faster
Yep.
to get up to that loss bonus to kind of get some good rounds in.
It's interesting because you're saying that, right? What I just was reading Twist's tweet. He said before any map pool changes happen, MR12 and the economy needs to be reevaluated. Increasing the money of the Galil or adding a fifth loss bonus around 3,900 to 4,000 could help balance things out. My personal opinion is that MR15 was better. I agree. And they found what really worked. So
Yeah,
he wants an extra fifth loss bonus, which obviously could
I
help
mean,
if you get to that stage. But I think I like what you're saying there on the 1900s a little bit more because then
because
you
I
got more
mean,
of a fighting
if
chance.
I think we would get less of these random force by rounds, more
Yeah.
actual gun rounds, and I
I
think that
hope
would
he said
help
this
the
to
game.
Valve, by the way. Valve have been in the building, the whole arena.
Yeah,
And I keep saying this, is like, talent or other people and streamers, whoever can go speak to Valve. Valve's very open when it's at the majors and the arenas, but more players have to go and talk to them. The more players that go talk and give their opinions is much better.
Yeah,
Just come out
because
with, well, they're very
it's over
reasonable
too
people.
quick. It's over too quick.
Yeah.
Especially now on the T side, I like that they changed the economy a little bit to favor the CT side with cheaper M4s, etc. But still
Mhm.
not enough in the terms of you know. Yes, you made Molo like the Molo. You you kind of nerfed it with this economy change as well for the
Yeah, it
CTs.
doesn't
So
help.
that doesn't really help to kind of string CT rounds together. So I don't know. It's kind of a balanced change, but I feel like if CTs can get more weapon rounds in, and also it's because like a 4K buy a CT doesn't give you
Mhm.
shit. Like you don't. What are you supposed to do? You have to have like two players on MP9, maybe a FAMAS, to
Yeah,
kind of
so many
have that
times we see that.
utility to block,
Yep.
because it's just you know you have to send people to the death or gamble push or I don't
Yeah.
know. It just feels weird. It doesn't feel like Counter Strike enough for me, because it becomes these very risky buys that you kind of are forced to do because you don't have enough time to break them.
Yeah.
Um,
You're trying
just
to force
makes
the issue too many
snowballing
times.
matches to happen. And I think this was a little bit of the problem for Navi. I think if they had a couple more rounds to play with, I actually think they would clinch this series.
Yeah.
But yeah, Vitality, they made it.
They did make it, and they continue to make it. The other quarterfinal game, the last one to look at, Mongols taking on FaZe.
Yeah,
Bruh, I was almost super convinced that Mongols picking Mirage, because obviously they normally either pick Mirage or Ancient. They picked Ancient last time they got destroyed. Obviously, Karrigan was ready for this, and I thought with the
yeah.
individuals that this phase has, they are going to still enjoy playing Mirage. Yeah. Well, they couldn't get shit done on their T side.
I think,
They
like, it's
they got made to look
incredible how good
uncomfortable.
of an Opera 910 is. It's unbelievable how good he is. I think I've
And he's
talked
not
to,
going
like,
missing now. Sometimes he
no,
used to go missing, and he's not. This is great for them.
well, the whole Mongo squad, to be fair, I thought they would crumble on a stage game because that's what they've been doing in the
That's what's
past.
happened.
But
Yeah.
something clicked for them now, and they looked amazing. And they didn't stop looking amazing. You know, Sensu picking up, Techno 4K even stepping up, clutching rounds, doing the important work.
Oh,
I
dude, the
think the
techno
only one that
clutches.
kind of, for me, underperformed in Mongols throughout the playoff was Mouzinho, the one I
Yeah.
usually see like wrecking it up.
Little baby face headshot machine.
Yeah, no, but I think 910 is like a top three opera in the world.
Ooh. High praise.
Yeah,
High praise. Dude, so what was incredible here for me is that they didn't choke on stage. The crowd was against them in this game because you're going up
yeah.
against FaZe, who are just not only internationally loved, but have a leash, and they've got simple back, right? I can forgive them for losing Mirage, but this Anubis, you don't go from dominating them one Anubis to playing this badly. And like Simple did underperform like crazy here. Simple had a lesser rating than Carrigan. I don't know if he
There's
started to feel pressure. I don't know if he just switched off. He wasn't up to standard of what he wanted to do. They won 3 clutches in that game and still couldn't pull it over the line,
and they had a 7-5 CT half on Anubis, which is
which is incredible. So both
unbelievable to
times the
lose.
T sides let them down. Both
Yeah.
times.
They should not be losing this, especially as you mentioned. They had three clutches against one clutch of Mongols. They had the CT side. They broke them pretty early, even though Mongols won pistol. I still think they broke them early on the third round. But then Mongols just, I don't know what happened. It's like you say, it's maybe some jitters, because I know a lot of people talked even about the Mirage ending, where it was like simple missing. Can't remember
He
who
had
was
quite a
top
few
mid.
sitters.
Like through it was millimeters where he missed two
Yeah.
shots. Essentially, I saw the post on Reddit where they even did the
The slowdown.
trajectory thing. And I'll let you tell. I'll just tell the guys like that's who cares. That's round doesn't mean shit. Like at the end, that's not why they lost Mirage. Like that's nothing to do with it, honestly.
People
But
like do hate watch
Anubis,
Simple like crazy though.
yeah, but people were flaming him for losing Mirage or something. I don't know. I thought that
Bro, the
was
whole
pure
team other than
bullshit.
Carrigan didn't perform in Mirage. Like,
Yeah,
you can blame him for a bit of the Anubis performance, for sure. And maybe his mental had gone because of, like, some of the missed shots he did have in Mirage, right?
yeah.
That's definitely possible. But this is a FaZe who beast on Mirage normally. And if Carrigan is your top performer, we know that's not a FaZe winning map.
Yeah, but it's also, I mean, Simple never played the Nubis professionally. It came in like after him, right?
No, he
Uh,
would have played it a little bit with Navi. He would have played it a little bit with main Navi.
maybe a little bit, but
Just
it feels
before it
like he
ended.
doesn't have that many reps on it. Let's just put it that way. Simple is not the one that should be performing on Anubis. It's definitely the rest of the team. And
Yeah, so
I
in
don't
total,
know,
he only
having
has 23 games on Anubis ever.
I think if you ask anyone in FaZe if they have a 7-5 half, what their confidence level would be
Yeah.
going into the second half from that CT side, I think they would say they win 99 of 100 times.
Mm-hmm.
And that just makes it so incredible because they looked insane on the CT side, Mongols.
Yeah.
And Techno being criticized online, his teammates, stepping up to defend him on Twitter,
Yeah.
and then having this kind of performance on the CT side, it's great to see because he
I think
kind
from
of pushed them over the edge on Anubis.
I think from individual ability, everyone on this Mongols team has a chance to have like some star pop off map.
Yeah,
It was crazy when I did the interview with Blitz the next day. He was like, I don't understand. Why did everyone pick FaZe? We're a top 5 team in the world. Why did they think we'd lose to them? And I said, well, you did lose to them in the group stage. And also, you play badly in arenas normally.
yeah,
And he just,
that's the
in his
only
mind,
reason.
his own belief, by the way, and this is what I will respect. People can call it delusion or whatever, but his mind is like, no, we are consistent playoff team. We're in more playoffs than FaZe this year. We may have lost games there, but we know what we can do. And I was like, okay, we're really cooking. And that was, by the way, just before they played Pain that he told me that. But it was solid. It was real solid.
No, I think I even
Next,
picked FaZe, and I always pick Mongols, but I got convinced by that same reason that just because it's a playoff game, otherwise I would have picked
yeah.
Mongols 100
Well,
of 100.
playoff game, and they played each other like in the same tournament and lost in a
Yeah,
pretty bad way. They had the game in their hands and they just got rolled over in the end on Ancient, and then they just continued into Anubis and they didn't stand a chance.
yeah.
Um, come on to the semifinals. First game was Vitality Mouz again. This was the 7th time they would have played in the year. It's kind of wild to think how much they have played against each other. It felt like this was the grand final, if I'm being honest.
In
This was
some way,
the
yeah.
Yeah, this is what I was expecting to be a grand final. Mirage starts off really well for them. It's actually fantastic performance from Flamesy, who'd been struggling. I'm not gonna, people are going to go, why did you say fantastic? He only has a 1.34 rating, but he had not looked so good the whole tournament. So it was great to see him have a lot more impact here and do well.
But he also plays a lot harder roles than people like.
Yes. Bro, he's
I
with an
think
MP9 more time than any other player on that team, even more than Apex, I swear.
sometimes I feel like we should come out with like some kind of guide for people like, okay, this comp player has 1.20 rating, he's trash. Like instead of this B player has 0.9 or 1.0 rating, dude, he's a fucking beast, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because a lot of the time, these weaker positions get so much flack. Like I think Flames plays A site on Mirage, right?
Yeah.
On
Yeah.
CT. And I think that is one of the hardest positions to play in the entire game. Like, it's unbelievably tough. If you don't have good synergy with your con and window player, depending on who is aggressive in mid, they can just walk out ramp and take that one-on-one duel. You lose that,
Yeah.
and you put your whole team in an insanely bad position. I think you have to have a lot of balls to play that side, and he does it so well. He pushes close ramp, close to the smokes. He's being a nuisance. He's blocking. He's sometimes holding the site on his own. So I think a lot of people need to, I don't know. I hope people can understand that the rating system is flawed because some positions you should have a higher rating on.
Yeah. We need to make a scale. Maybe we could do this one episode where we make a scale of like based on your position, what would be considered a good rating.
Yes, like some kind of guide. I
You'd be
think,
perfect to do that. That would be really
yeah.
good. All right, let's make a note of that for a following episode. Then we come on to Inferno. Now they did lose Inferno to Legacy,
By the
right?
way, what
In
the
that best
fuck has
of one.
happened with Vitality's Inferno this event? It
Bro,
was like
it went
their
from 100%
castle
win
of a
rate.
map. No one ever beat them on Inferno.
I'll explain because I spoke to Apex about this and I just said, like, is this a case of you not having as much reps on it, like in terms of working it, you know? Because if you put more time into other maps, then some other maps will drop off a bit, right?
Yeah.
That's just the way it goes. So he was like, yeah, obviously, I'm not too concerned about it. The rest of the map pool's strong, but you're getting obliterated on these maps. You're getting absolutely bullied on these maps.
And it's
It doesn't
ruining
look like the
people's
same team.
pick'ems.
he would say fuck your pick'ems 100%.
I know.
But it is, yeah, it's wild when you think of how good they were on it. And the only thing I'll say is it was positive for Mouz to get a win and the way they did with the 11-1 start.
Yeah.
But it's just more impressive again from Vitality where they can just shrug this off, go into train. ZywOo's obviously is a monster on that. Everyone dominated. It was perfection from the whole team.
I have a question for you actually. So
Yeah.
like leading up to this, you see the map pool, right? It's Mirage, Inferno, and Train.
Mm-hmm.
What did you see as Mouse like kind of win condition? What did they need to do with this?
Win Mirage.
So exactly, like if I thought, okay, this game is over. The Vitality won Mirage. It's just done.
Yeah,
It's just
exactly.
done. What can they do now? And obviously they could have an amazing Inferno and amazing Train in some kind of world, but it was even unlikely that they would win Inferno, even though Vitality been looking a little bit rough on it. I still had more faith in Vitality in that for
Of
some reason. I
course.
don't think they would flunk 2 maps in a row,
Yeah,
especially
I wasn't
being
expecting this
more
because,
favored towards them.
and also because like Mouz is a team that they understand well. They played against each other so many times. Yeah. So it's not like a Legacy that can throw some craziness at you, who can just disrespect you round after round, bully you on the beat. So like I was well expecting this to be maybe a closer Inferno, sure, but not a Mouz dominant Inferno like this.
No.
No way.
But I just felt like this game was over. I kind of lost interest because Mouse lost Mirage, if I'm going to be honest, watching it. Even though
Yeah, but
Mouse came back on that Inferno, I was 100% sure Vitality would win.
But then, mate, then we come on to train and there was no chance.
No chance.
There was literally no chance.
Nope.
There's nothing you can do against Vitality on train right now. And people, if people didn't watch it, it wasn't even like there was some close rounds. It was like, even in the clutch rounds, I was having like huge confidence that Vitality were going to play it off. You could see there was moments in time where like Mouz would even get space outside, yeah? And then they just kind of get stuck. ZywOo's peeking from gap. Apex is playing on the bomb train. Flames is running around with MP9, sometimes going on top of trains. It was so strong from them.
There's also this thing where you're having, a star player holding B site, and you have that roaming upper star player on the outside. It feels almost like cheating to have a star player that good hold the B site, because I think you can play that 4 outside start. You can shut
Yeah.
everything out down on the outside, and you're gonna get something if they go inside, like every single time, because Rops doesn't matter where he is, he's gonna get 1 or 2 with him. And it just made it's almost like it's a great map for Vitality, not only because of how they play, but also because of who is their star players.
Yeah.
And it just suits them role wise very, very well on the safety side.
Yeah, I just love how they play their train, man. And I'm so happy we got to see a train come in there again. Whenever train gets played, I'm just happy. It was like one of the lowest played maps at the major. And I'm still, just whenever I get it, it's good. It's always left as like a decider or the
Yeah.
last map of a best of 5. And then, by the way, I don't know if anyone ever on their pick'ems, other than Mongolian people, predicted Vitality Mongols. But if you did, hats off to you. Mongols going into a major where the whole crowd, by the way, is against Apex. To explain this to people, this whole fuck you Apex thing is Apex loves it and is playing the villain. The Americans continue this since the previous Dallas. And I would say that you actually give him fuel. Like you're actually making Apex, who is a veteran player who comes from this like old LAN center scenarios, yeah, where there's a lot of back chat and a lot of trash talking. He even came up for the grand finals with his mobile phone in his pocket and was like, ha ha, and just spinning around, yeah,
But
enjoying it.
like you can every time they like film Apex, there's like a boo, there's like a fuck you Apex chant.
Yep.
Like he must know when he's on camera every single time. It goes from like way boo.
Boo. Oh, bro, the best one is every time, so they boo Apex, right? They're pretty nice to everyone else in Vitality, but when Xtaz comes on screen, the whole arena goes, bold, bold.
Wow. I didn't hear that.
Dude, because the way they're doing it, it probably sounds like a boo. When you're in the
Yeah.
arena, so I obviously, I'm really lucky, yeah? I get to just sit anywhere I want in the arena, so sometimes I went up to like the rafters to film some content with fans, you know, like in between map content. And I sat there, I watched the Techno Clutch, where Techno clutched out around on Mirage, you know, where they were dominating. And then the whole arena, Techno, because they were loving the Mongols. And I was like, shit, America's adopted the Mongols. I will say, after Mirage, there was a very small percent of my heart that went, they're going to fucking do it. Like, they've actually nailed this. Like, somehow they're going to do it. But every time Xtas came on screen, I looked behind me. I was like, guys, you really just shouting bald at him? Like, what the hell, man? I was like, he might have a complex or something. You guys just bald.
That's kind of crazy. I didn't actually
Oh,
catch that. I must have thought they were booing still Apex.
yeah. No, it was. Well, it's every time there was a timeout, you see Xtas, and they obviously put him up on the screen. Oh, and then any Mongols player, by the way, big cheers, big shouting, Mongols. They sold out. Oh yeah, no, wait, this is another thing. Whoever runs the blast shop just needs to ask teams to send more jerseys because day one, every jersey was sold out. Every team, every jersey,
Really?
you couldn't get it anymore. People were desperate for Mongol shirts and they didn't exist. People were making their own by drawing on a white t-shirt the Mongols logo.
I did see that. I did
Yeah,
see
dude.
that.
I said to them, fair play. If you can't buy it, and they were like, we would buy it. He goes, oh, I was like, because in my mind, I'm thinking like, you can't afford it, right? It's probably like a
Yeah,
$50,
yeah.
$60 shirt. And he's like, no, I want to buy it. I can buy it, but they're not there. So the stock was gone. Every shirt was sold out. No team shirts were left. And you got to think because more people
But
come
I
for a
would even I
major.
would buy a MongolZ jersey. I'm a big fan of
Hell
them.
yeah. Hell yeah. And so back to the game, back to the thing. This
Yep.
Mirage was incredible. Clutch is in there. By the way, even sometimes being a man disadvantage, winning a clutch game, winning a clutch round, like the Mongols impressed me on Mirage in a way I didn't expect because doing it against FaZe is one thing, but doing it against Vitality is another. And the way they did it was the most important thing. In the history of matchups that they've played this year, and by the way, in 2025, there were 4 series before this grand final. Mongols won Nuke, and they
That's it.
won
Nuke
Nuke.
again.
And that's 2 nukes. One was in overtime. They've never won a Mirage.
And the weird thing is, you know that in the veto, Mongols had the option to have Nuke as the third map.
They had the choice. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. But I guess they were thinking, you know what? We're not going to go to Nuke. They'll expect this. We'll go to Inferno. We'll
They
target what map they've
100%
been
picked
struggling on.
Inferno because Vitality has been
Yeah.
absolutely at rock
Oh,
bottom
it's
on Inferno.
pain. Oh.
I think that's the only reason is because
Yeah.
Legacy and Mouz just destroyed Vitality on Inferno.
And MongolZ were like, we can do it. This is the time. It's going to happen. Oh, mate.
But it was a very, very exciting Mirage. I got some, maybe they can do it. Maybe. How amazing would it be if they are the first Asian-based team to win a major?
Oh, dude.
It would have been such an historic moment. Not that Vitality winning isn't historic. It's very historic itself. But I was definitely cheering for MongolZ. I think it would have been such a Cinderella story in some sense.
So someone asked me, like, who would I like to win? And I just said, like, it's great if the MongolZ win for Asia and for, like, the story of all that, right? It'd be such an unexpected one. It would continue on the tradition of times of, like, where many major favorites have not made it. But I just felt like Vitality winning it, right? And this cherry on top they literally only didn't win one event this year that they entered at the very beginning of the season, Blast Bounty.
Only the first one, right? Yeah.
Only Blast Bounty, which part of that was online into an offline 8 teams final, all in a studio. And then they just clicked and they dominated and they played so well. And it was kind of nice for the way they got to do it,
Yeah.
And both teams winning, even for me, would have been fine. But it's like this thing with Vitality sets up such a great set of storylines for the next season in such a big and impressive way. And remember, we come out of the player break straight into Cologne. There's Fissure, which is like the technical first event, but I don't know if their team list is even announced yet.
But I'll also say this about Vitality, right? Because I even tweeted, Apex, I think, is in the GOAT conversation for me, 100%. Like one of the greatest players to ever touch the game. And people might agree or disagree, but I'm thinking in terms of, impacts, not only by stats, but actually, impact throughout his whole career. He's won trophies, I think, every single year he's competed. And he's done it for such a long time. He converted to the in-game leader, doing different roles. Still looks fucking sharp, I have to say. It's not like he's a high fragging in-game leader. He can have games where he just looks like a star player. And I don't know. To me, I don't know where I'd put him, but I think he's up there in like top 3 in my greatest players right now. I think he can be even more.
And bro, he was 1.37 rating through the grand final, above ZywOo, Robs, Mezii, Flames, obviously, but above everyone. But I mean, like, just crazy when you think of that. I will say, hats off to Mezii for having some really pop off moments.
Yep.
He stayed solid. First, but by the way, this is going to be something I talk about on another video of my own somewhere. But Mezii is the greatest player the UK has ever produced of any version of Counter-Strike of all time. Don't even try and hit me with the rattlesnake or the Mangia Capra shit, because it's not even up for debate now. I'm pretty sure if you ask these players, they would tell you it is him. 7 trophies this year, a major, like playing incredibly tough roles. Like he's not being set up in the same way.
Potentially in the greatest Counter-Strike lineup that we've ever seen.
As a solely British player.
Still debatable, but the pathway looking like this conversation could be ended by this year.
If they go this year, right? And I don't even need to see them win every big event, but if they win Cologne and they win the next major, let's see what other events there are.
I think they still have the record for like the most tournament runs, like wins in a row.
I'm not sure about it because I wasn't sure if Astralis had that or not.
No, I'm pretty sure it's Vitality right now.
Okay. But like, look at this, right? You have Blast Bounty, which, okay, sadly starts online at the beginning, but it did the same earlier. Then it goes to the LAN finals. You've got Cologne. I don't think they'll attend Fissure because it starts on the 15th of July. I think they'll skip Fissure and go to Cologne. I
Yep.
think a lot of teams will skip Fissure maybe because of the coming back earlier from break. Because it starts like 15th to the 20th of July. It's in Serbia, which is not too bad, but it's like they deserve a longer break. You need at least 3 weeks because you're gonna have to come back before. So I think a lot of teams will skip that. So they do Cologne. Remember, they don't have to go play in either. So they do Cologne, they do Bounty, they do an Esports World Cup. Then they go to Blast Open London, probably ESL Pro League again, then into Major. There is a world where they could win. If they win 3 events in a major, that's 10. No, that'd be 11 trophies. They're
And
obviously very careful on their planning, by the way. They're very careful on their how they do events, how they choose events.
I think that you have to if you're playing on the top level of the game, and I think it's a really tough thing to plan for because it's so hard to know what your
Especially with
MVP
VRS.
levels are capable of and stuff like that. But I will say as a little bit of a maybe a segment if you feel like you're done talking about the actual major.
Oh no, I'm not
That
done just yet.
okay, but
I'm not done just yet.
all right, I'll hold on my segue.
So we got to also think about this, right? ZywOo has won MVP of every event.
Yeah.
Now my goat has always been simple, but ZywOo just earned his 7th major MVP in a row. Sorry, seventh MVP in a row, and got the major MVP.
And his
Just to
past simple
clarify
and
that,
MVP award, right?
he did that last time in
Yeah.
Dallas. He has to be the GOAT now.
I think
I know Simple wasn't there, and people can say that might be a factor. I will always say this: as an individual player at his peak, Simple was the best, and no one's coming close to that for a while. The way he plays, the way he moved, the way he had control of the game. ZywOo was not that type of player. But the accolades now that ZywOo has, from French team to English speaking team to multiple different rosters to dominating and taking this many MVPs, you can't fault him. You can't fault him at all. And by the way, this is I need to get your opinion on this. I was actually sent this devil, so we have to talk about this. This isn't a sponsor thing, by the way, because I'm sponsored by Zowie. This is just the fact that ZywOo changed his mouse before the major. Now he changed it to this thing here. I'm gonna have a little play around with it at some point and see how good it is. I'm a
I want to try it
loyal.
as well.
We'll have to get you on as well. But I'm a loyal Zowie user. Yeah, always use the EC2. It's my type of shape. ZywOo even used to use the Zowie EC2. That was
But
the mouse he
isn't
had.
that it looks like an EC2 to me, shape
Very
wise.
similar. I'm trying to compare it. Like I feel like it's like an EC2 shape, a higher back. Is it a higher back? No, a bit of a higher back and a bit shorter. People were saying it's a cross between like the Vaxi and the EC2. So obviously it's shapes he likes, right? When I put my hand on it, I get a similar feel. It's actually a bit more room for my finger. I got big hands, but it's more room for these fingers to sit on the edge of the mouse. If you play like
Ooh, I like that.
1, 2, yeah. Because I don't like my little finger dragging across the mouse pad. I hate that.
Same.
It also has like a weight you can put inside it if you want to make it heavier. This one's just a standard one without the weight.
See, I
Comes
don't
with it.
care too much about that stuff, but the
But
shape for me is
let me just ask you this: in
Yeah.
Dallas, he was not using this mouse, and then, yes, he was probably testing it for months, maybe a year. It's his shape; he designed it. But then you change mouse before the most important tournament of the year. That is a risk, even if you made the mouse, even if you love it.
I was going to say that. I do think like this to
it's
some degree he designed it
Ooh.
and helped make it his perfect mouse. It must
just
make it a little bit more
oh.
okay than just randomly changing a mouse.
Dude, I asked him on day 1 of stage 3. I said, "This is the first tournament you're playing with it." He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "My God." He's
What
like, "Oh,
was
I've
the
had practice games with it." I've like, I
how
played. So
long
he played with it a
between?
bit.
How long between is it between Dallas and the major?
He was in stage 3, so I guess like 2.5 weeks.
So
Maybe
2.5
weeks.
weeks. I think if he played for 2.5 weeks, it's fine. I think the thing that that sucks is when people do like, okay, they're playing half the boot camp with we're going to compete in 4 days. Nah, fuck this.
Yeah.
I'm playing bad. I'm gonna change my mouse, right? I
Classic.
think
Terrible thing to
that's
do.
yeah, I think that's the terrible one.
Yeah.
While I think ZywOo probably okay. I'm finally gonna get to show off my new mouse. I'm gonna, they probably planned it. I'm gonna use it at the major. This is how I'm gonna
Greatest
do it.
marketing thing, by the way, in the world,
Yeah,
because,
change this
but
mouse, MVP at major.
But I will say this. Let me give you this, yeah? This is the same ZywOo back in Rio who forgot he had like the film at the bottom of his mouse skates. So he left the protective blue film on
Oh,
and
really?
won the tournament and played with it the whole time. Didn't even notice. He is a player that is unlike. So there are certain players, if you look at them, like a Mezii, same mouse, same mouse pad, doesn't change settings and stuff like that, just keeps the same, right? Very important for the mental. They just want to have the same. They know they're used to that.
Yeah.
ZywOo is a player where I've watched him use a Zowie mouse. I've watched him use a different company mouse. I've watched him change through different mice and he'll still dominate. So there is their marketing thing and it looks great for them. And obviously he's very happy to use it and it works that way. But there's also that caveat, like no one should ever buy a mouse and think I'm going to play like the player that uses it because you ain't that player. You
I'll,
still need
I'll
to find the
also
right shape that works for you.
I'll add a little bit like if you're like a super emotional player and
Yep.
you play a lot with emotions and you get affected easily. I don't think Cyber is that kind of person that seems to
Mm-mm.
be rattled up with his emotions that much. He just plays the
No.
games, has a good time. Uh, so if you're more of the emotional one, I think that's when it's a really terrible idea to change mice, no matter if it's before a tournament, because it's almost like some people like to give themselves excuses, even if it's not
Yeah.
like planned. They will use it as an excuse later, and you can see that pattern. I think then it's terrible because then
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of like I don't need to improve. It was because I changed mice. Like
I
you
played
get.
bad.
Trust me, there's more players like this than you'd imagine
This is why
in
I
the
wanted to
pro
ask your
scene.
opinion on it because it's probably less of a risk for ZywOo because of the player he is, which is why everyone agreed to it, right? But
Yeah.
like personally, if I'm a top tier in game leader, I look over to the right, I'm like, oh, you got a new mouse. We're about to play the major. We just won 6 tournaments. What the fuck are you doing? Like, what the fuck is going on, man?
But would you okay, let's say it was a sensitive player and you
Yeah.
go like, what the fuck are you doing? Is it worth the risk to break his mental before the
Oh,
tournament?
no,
Or
obviously,
would you
obviously
force him?
not. This is what I'm saying. Like, you kind of have to let this person
Yeah.
go with their shit, right? But my God, it's like we've just won and dominated everything. Like, if it was a Manasi, if it was anyone else, I'd probably be saying no. I can't say anyone else, but like what you're saying, if it's someone whose mental is not as strong, or someone
Yeah.
who's very stuck in their ways and likes things all the same, yeah, now is not the time to change.
No.
But he did it, and he's still. By the way, he was actually on track to be the highest rated major winning player ever and surpass Donk after last time, but he dropped off too much in the finals.
Apex took
Donk,
too many.
what did yeah, Apex took too many kills. Well, let me just get Donk Shanghai because Simple was the leader. I think he was like 1.39. Donk got 1.49. Yeah. We're going to Stockholm.
By the way, even looking at these stats for the grand final, right? Doesn't
Mm-hmm.
this tell you if you just go on the stats page and just look at the kills and the deaths
Right, so let me
of
put it
all the
on.
players in Vitality, doesn't this just tell you how fucking good this team is?
Yeah. Plus 10 Apex, plus 14 Mezii, plus
Because
3
look,
Rops,
43 kills,
plus
33
3.
deaths, 47
Yeah.
kills, 33 deaths, 41, 38,
Plus
37,
11 for
34,
Flames.
44, 33. Like everyone is so close to each other, and we're
Yeah.
still, spewing ZywOo and Rops and all of this stuff, right? They're carrying or they're the superstars, but everyone in this team has the potential to be a superstar in any team they're on.
Yeah. And by the way, I don't know if people caught this on the cameras. I don't know how big an eye people are looking at this to continue to just harp on the positives of Vitality. You know when they go for like a team talk outside?
Yeah.
Apex and Matt, the analyst, go together and are talking separately about whatever game plan or whatever's going to happen. And then Xtaz and Jack is the performance coach, huge Australian guy. By the way, this guy is taller than me, big, like he's strong as hell. He used to play like very high level, maybe professional rugby. I'm trying to just remember. Sorry, Jack, if I got this wrong. But everyone talks so positively about the differences he makes. So Xtaz and Jack have the rest of the team. And then Apex and Matt are on the other side together.
Yeah.
They all come together at the end. But like whatever they're doing, whatever this unit is, this shit works. Because normally, in general, if I'm speaking, everyone's together as a whole team. Analysts, performance, manager, coach, yeah, full team,
Yeah.
everyone's there. But they had a very different setup on this, and they know what it means to win a major. Like, I think if Vitality didn't win, if Apex didn't win, bro, they would be there would be massive fallout, despite how successful they has been, despite how well they've been playing, because
What do you mean
they
by
did everything to
fallout?
not of the players, but like fallout of mentality, fallout of belief, because they followed obviously this plan, this way they've been doing things, yeah. And the vibe I was getting was like that anything else would be a disappointment, despite all the trophies they had before. The goal was like to peak and to be in the best shape and to have this at the right time.
Yeah.
And even when they stumbled and lost that best of one, it didn't shut them down. They lost the win streak. It didn't shut them down. They still kept going. They still had that hunger. Like anything else would have been a huge loss for them. And they knew how big of favorites they were. Probably one of the biggest favorites since Navi 2021.
I mean, I don't think there's been a bigger favorite ever.
Really? Navi didn't even drop a map when they got to playoffs, though. They were like the ultimate favorites.
Yeah, but like, yeah, they were the favorites, but were they really bigger favorites?
I guess it depends which way you look at it, because obviously Navi didn't win every single tournament before like Vitality. I guess you could say no. But maybe because the
I feel
narrative
like,
changed because of what we saw that they could, a final started to get harder for them. They would drop a map here and there.
but I feel like the Navi one was more like people wanted, Navi to win more than they 100% believe they would win. Compared to Vitality, I feel like everyone just like uh, probably percentage of people who picked Vitality to win the major throughout the whole bracket is like
Yeah.
99%.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like there must have been more people who like even picked G2 or something like that back in the day.
True. True. Yeah. Maybe if we looked at the stats of like coin picks or whatever like that. I know it's not the best indication, but
No,
you'll be right.
I feel like even though they were massive favorites, I'm not saying that, but like that they're not. But I feel like Vitality right now was like I don't remember anyone being this much of a favorite. Even
Yeah.
looking back at like early majors, NIP, the Astralis, I feel like this still is the most like dominant favorite.
I respect it. I won't argue it, but I respect it.
That's my opinion.
Well, with that, we do actually finish our major talk.
All
It
right,
was an incredible major. It was so much fun to be at. Um, I will
I'll
say
do
that.
my little segue now.
Well, let me finish my bit then on the major part,
All
because I'll
right.
say that for me, the crowd proved that America deserves to have majors more regularly. We shouldn't have another
Mm,
7 year gap before we come back to America for a
yeah.
major. Um, the opportunity in America with big arenas and to go bigger and potentially break records depending on where we go, like have a 20,000 person arena or bigger, I definitely think should be looked at by tournament organizers. I still need Valve to put a best of five final. Actually, you know what? Even if they don't give us a best of five final, just remove best of ones and just give us the best of threes the whole way. I'll even accept the best of three final. I'll deal with that for now. But we just can't have any more best of ones, especially in MR12. It's not allowed. It's not good. It's not positive. Um, but this major was impressive. I did enjoy what we got to see from it. I'm still not 100% like happy with the whole stage one over RMRs. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's still a bit sad, I'll be honest. But we are hopefully moving in the right direction to the game being in a better position and being like as we wanted, you know. But it was all in all pretty good major. I
It was
give it a solid
a
performance.
great major. I think we got a lot of new like personalities I haven't seen before or heard that much from. We have Emilia, we have G obviously.
Shout
I
out G
think we
one
got a
time.
little bit more,
Oh, I'll tell you what G
NQC.
messaged me. Wait. G
Yeah.
messaged me during the major. What did he say? He just randomly, on the last Friday, was like, miss you. And I was like, it just made me so sad. He's just obviously watching the
So
major from
cute.
home and he just goes, miss you. And I was like, I hope you have a nice time with family and friends. Poor guy, man. I love him. I love him so much.
Yeah,
I am
but
a G fan.
I am a G fan too. And yeah, I feel like a lot of new personalities shine through for me this major. I feel like a lot more than prior majors. Haven't
This
really,
was the trash talk major,
yeah.
100%. Showing
I
up,
feel
showing
like
emotion.
there were so many new individuals that did things a little bit differently, and it was enjoyable to watch. And but like concluding everything, great major. I thought it was great to watch. I do think some of the roster changes that we are about to talk about is a little bit sprung with who's gonna catch Vitality right
That's the
now.
game now. That's the name of the
Yeah,
game now. What was
and
your last point then on the major? What did you want to go through?
the last bit,
Yeah, you
the
said like
segue.
you had something with the segue. Where's
The
your
segue
segue?
is essentially that I think that Vitality is just made sure that everyone is like in panic mode. I think if Vitality wasn't so damn good, uh,
Yeah.
I think some of these roster changes wouldn't be as stressful for some of these teams going into the next season.
When you say stressful, you mean like so much like they need to.
Like they need to happen now because
Yeah.
otherwise, like it's too big of a gap, and we're never gonna reach that with just grinding theory. We need to have fresh blood in here, and we need to reach
Hmm.
the gap in other ways as well. Because I
But
think, yeah,
this gets more interesting, right? Because yes, people have said, well, Vitality added more firepower, had 2 stars on their team. That's why they're doing it right. It's not just a 1-star setup, blah, blah, blah. But Rops coming in wasn't just star power, it was everyone on that team improved. And I'm gonna say this from someone from the outside perspective, not just game side. Apex praises how much Matt does, how much Jack does as well, the performance coach. There is a lot more, I think, behind the scenes of Vitality that also help them be in this situation. Not forcing them to go to every event, not forcing them to turn up to everything every time, having a good plan schedule, all of them being in agreement of when to have this work, have this rest. Remember, Mezii's done this while having a newborn baby at home.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
Like, I am a dad. I understand how mental that is. His wife was there even at Dallas, right? With the kid. That was an amazing moment for him. Like, this is right now something we haven't seen before.
Yeah,
That's why the Vitality era 100% has started. And I will agree with your point that people think they want to chase by changing players and adding firepower and going through this stuff, but they might not get to where they want until they realize the other factors.
yeah,
Because having players happy, mood happy, understanding the schedule, knowing what they're doing. When's this media day for X sponsor? When's this travel day going to be? When we boot camp, when we don't boot camp. Like Vitality did a lot of online boot camps. Yeah. Not in person boot camps like people were loving to do. There's all these factors that come into it, which is way different. And I can say this now, right? I'm not gonna mention who it's gonna be. But very, very soon on this podcast, we will have an all about Counter-Strike episode with a Vitality Major winner from this current team that's playing right now. And we're going to ask a lot of questions to get answers to this because this is going to be a lot of details and things that have never been spoken about before. And we, again, luckily, somehow, thanks to, I guess, Devilwalk's beautiful face
I
and his
think it's your
knowledge,
beautiful voice, man.
we continue to hit guests, which like don't come on podcasts and do stuff regularly. So we're in a massive win for this right now, and I'm so excited for that episode because we can start unpacking and learning and understanding this in a million ways. But I agree
It's
with
gonna
you.
be
Teams are
exciting.
trying to catch up. So do you want to go
Yeah.
into roster shuffles from here, roster moves?
Yeah, which
I
one do
guess
you
this is
wanna
so we normally do roster moves, right? So we'll start with the actual roster move because this one is a confirmed one, and some of the other ones are just rumors as of now. It is the 25th of June, 2025, just to be clear.
Alright.
Let's start with Falcons
Falcons.
benching Magisk, signing kyousuke or kyousuke, whoever the fuck you want to say it. In Japanese, it's kyousuke, but he is a Russian player. So maybe it's just kyousuke. Uh, Today we announced that Emil Magisk Reef is being moved to the bench. Magisk's been with our roster for almost 2 years. He has brought many memorable moments and helped us win our first CS2 trophy in Bucharest. He was also crucial to making the finals of IM Melbourne, PGL Cluj Poker, and Blast Rivals S1. We thank him for his dedication to the team as we seek a new path after this season. I'll just say this. Tess says, you deserve to stay.
Yeah.
And you even survived the friendship of Zonic and Magisk, where Zonic is bringing Magisk to everywhere, right? Bringing him to Vitality, bringing him to Falcons, taking him with him everywhere. And that on its own is a statement. Now, the other thing, which I'm going to touch on because I have information on this.
Can I
Yeah.
tell you a funny thing
Go for it.
before? So I've obviously been kind of grinding the major on my television, and my
Yeah.
girlfriend doesn't know anything about CS, like
Yeah.
absolute zero. And she just randomly, when I had a game on, picked Magisk. He's my favorite player now.
Oh, no.
So she was super sad. I was like, he might be
Yeah.
getting
He's kind of going. He's kind of
yeah.
gone.
So she's a little bit sad now.
Oh.
I had to show her the news, and she's like,
Um,
"Oh,
The thing is, right, I'm not sure what his buyout would look like. He's had 2 years on the team. Maybe just I don't know his contract length. Maybe it's just 3 years or something. He's a smart player. But I'm worried about where he goes next. Because Magisk, he's not old. He's got plenty of time to still play. He's 27. He's a 4-time major winner, a major MVP. He's good in his roles. He's had some struggles, but there's a lot of pressure when you're on Falcons. There are teams I feel like he could make better, but it might be like a tier 1.5, 2-ish team, which is kind of tough for him.
But what would you say if you would put like Magisk in converting into an in-game leader?
Did he try
Would
that
that
once already?
I think he was in-game leading a little bit in Astralis, right?
He had a
Even
moment in
back in the
Stars, but
day.
he was. Yeah,
So
yeah.
I think there's indications at least to that he has that ability, at least to be improved upon. And I
Hmm.
actually think that would make him a lot more attractive on the market rather than staying as like an anchor or rifler or whatever you wanna kind of categorize himself as right now. I don't really know what his preferred role is at the moment. He
Yeah,
probably just played anchor roles a little bit more because he was forced to right now.
yeah,
Um, but I would say that if that is the case, to have such an experienced guy, he still has a couple of years left with him,
yep.
and calling and maybe you know, as you say, taking on a team, probably around. I don't know. I could see him in like maybe a heroic-ish lineup or something like
Hmm.
along those lines, taking the reins and kind of impeding with his experience.
Yeah.
I could see that working.
That's not a bad route for him to go. Definitely not. Change up some positions again when he comes to be an
Yeah.
IGL, what he can see on the map, how he'd work, what players he have around him. Not against that. I don't think he's not going to get on a tier 1 team. I don't think. I
No,
mean, and
I think he
that's not
had
going to
a
happen.
pretty rough stint at the end now at Falcons that he
Yeah,
either needs to take a small break or I think I mean he's obviously going to take a small break, but when he comes back, I hope that he comes back as like an in-game leader
mhm.
and tries to
Do you think he comes back next season, right? Because he might not get picked up in this season.
yeah I imagine he would run out his contract in Falcons however long
Yeah,
that is.
yeah. I'm not sure on Falcons buyouts or anything like that for like if a player's up. Same for Dexter, who's now in that same situation.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, right? kyousuke coming to Falcon was Overdrive saying it's a 2 million buyout. I heard different. I heard between 1 and 1.5. But then Overdrive himself also said to me that it was in like close to 2 mil. Yeah. So I'm just guessing because the CEO of Falcons, Mouz, he
Yeah.
came out and said it's not 2 mil. But obviously, I love when they try to say this is not happening, but then give us an indication. You don't need to tell us the amount, but just say, think a bit less, like a few 100K less or something, you know? Because once you've started this whole game, it's all about guessing. I wasn't told an exact number, but I'm in the numbers I'm hearing is between 1 and 1.5. But then
Yeah, but
Overdrive is so close to Spirit that I was going to believe him, honestly. So anyone who's telling me could just be lying at this point. It's
it's
just
also like
Mezii was already a lot for a academy player to 600K, right? Because there's still a risk. And let alone, we don't know what roles and stuff he's going to go into Falcons, but obviously there's massive roles clash with what Magisk used to do and what kyousuke used to do. So now we're in a position where you want to pay. Imagine if they did pay 2 million and like he doesn't get any of the roles he's used to and doesn't hit as hard.
um I would be incredibly sad if they made this move happen and did not let Kyosuke actually,
Yep,
you know,
I'm
pick
agreeing.
his roles or them making him comfortable. I'm sure there's still gonna have things that he has to learn and he has to kind of sort himself in
Hmm.
with, but he's very fortunate to both have Nico there, have MongolZ there, who's kind of made that journey into an international team from that kind of Russian perspective.
Yep.
So I think they have everything to kind of make him the best player he could be. But I hope that they firstly put him in spots and positions he is,
Yeah.
comfortable with using his own gut feeling and kind of playing his game.
I 100% agree with you. And that's what I want to see. And do you want some more fun news as well? Maui Snake already spoke about this, and it is confirmed. He was going to go to Spirit Academy. Like that Spirit Academy wanted him. He didn't want to go to Spirit Academy.
Academy.
He didn't want to go to Spirit main team.
Main
He
team.
didn't
Yeah.
want to go from the academy team to the main team. That was confirmed. He had the opportunity, but he said he wanted to go to Falcons when that offer came. He didn't want
Wow.
to join the main team, which is crazy. Because just
Wow.
imagine kyousuke and Donk on the same team. Yes, I know you're going to get a lot of clashes again, but I mean,
But I
that's
think
a
it's more
oh.
easily fixable on because if you look at Spirit,
Hmm.
so role wise, Kyosuke would fit a lot more into Spirit and would fix a lot of problems that Spirit have, which is when people kill Donk, the round goes to like 10 seconds. They don't really get anything going because they're
Yep.
very slow pacing, lurking around. They're very careful because the only real aggressive player they have is Donk on Spirit. So they have a
Yep.
complete unbalanced team in some sense because you have, I think, both Sontics, Magics, they're not very aggressive. Of course, everyone can be, but in their nature, they're not. And Chopper is not an aggressive player. Um, he can sometimes throw himself in there and get a frag, but he's more slow paced, holding shift kind of dude. And
Yep.
Shiro is not a super aggressive AWPer.
No, he's definitely
So
not.
they're very in tune towards that defensive side. So putting Kioski in, who's a bit more aggressive, taking those kind of impulsive decisions, and you can kind of throw him in
Second
there
string of
to
it.
as an X factor. I think it would suit him a lot more than actually Falcons, even though I don't think that's a bad move either.
No, it does. It makes, by the way, if like Tessus keeps up the level he's been able to show, Kicksan obviously leading very well. We've both been impressed by him. And you just have Nico Monasi and kyousuke as your three. This is such a deadly sick team. And they announced that so quick. I'm imagining because they fell out of the major so early as well. Holidays cut short. You're back to practice and back to training very soon. Not very soon. I guess maybe in like a week and a half time, 2 weeks time. Get ready for the upcoming events. Like
It's
Falcons,
going to
by
be
the way, is a
super
team I can
exciting
see
to see
playing
how they
Fissure.
do this.
I
Yeah.
think Falcons will accept the invite to Fissure. They'll do
Yeah,
Fissure
they
into
probably do
Cologne.
everything they can in the beginning.
Yep, I can see that. Some of the next news then, we'll keep it with Spirit a bit. Spirit are looking to get the signature of Namiga star anchor Ivan Gogin. Sources who wish to remain anonymous tell HLTV. We reached out to Namiga CEO, but they declined to comment. Now, Namiga can make bank. Zwei is an exciting player. It's a good move. I'm guessing that just means Magisk is out? Or Magix, sorry. I'm saying the wrong name now. Magix is out?
Ooh, it's a tough one. I honestly don't know. Honestly don't know. Because I don't think there's been that much difference between Sontics and Magisks in the last couple of events. Maybe Sontic's been a little bit better, but I don't think it's like a massive difference where it's a pure obvious choice.
So you think Zondic could be an option to go as well?
I think so, but I think it depends. I mean, if you look at like the interviews and everything, Donk is praising Magisk for having the most insane aim ever.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know if that will have anything to do with it, but I'm sure Donk is kind of to some degree. I'm not saying he's the one deciding and a change needs to happen, but I think his increase in frustrations kind of forces the hand to some degree that a
Yeah.
change is needed before
But
because if you're an organization, you look at the best player probably in the world,
mhm.
or at least top two,
Yeah.
is starting to increasingly get frustrated with how they're performing at events.
Yeah.
Your pretty much only fear in life at that point is to lose him,
Hmm.
for him to not re-sign a contract or want to leave or is dissatisfied in some sense.
Yeah.
So even though he is not telling the organization I need a change, they're gonna watch him, they're gonna see the behavior, and they're gonna react based on that in some degree because they
But
want to keep him happy.
as I understand it, it is Hallie making nearly all decisions along with management. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
think players in
yes.
Spirit
No,
have
I don't think
any
Donkey
choice.
has any say in this, but I
But I will
still
say
believe
this.
he
I
influences it.
I've done so many interviews with Donk, right? Good and bad. Yes, no's, and no's and more. When he came off the stage for this major, I've never seen him near close to crying. So I can't tell you if he was going to cry or not. But this was what I saw was actual tears like forming in his eyes. Whether
Yeah.
that was from anger or frustration, I was like emotionally, oh no, even Donk, man. Like he's not supposed to have these emotions, and that's how sad he was with that loss, you know?
Yeah.
So it makes sense. Something has to change in it. People keep saying, like, oh, cut Chopper. And I'm thinking, why would you cut Chopper right now?
Who would you replace
Like,
Chopper with?
what? Yeah, like this is people are like bring Broomage. I'm like, you're not replacing Chopper. He's been in this Halley system for a long time. He's finally started to win him some trophies. He's got great players alongside him. That's the move we don't need to see happen. Like, calling for Chopper's head is not a smart decision. Not at all.
No, I think
So,
you're right on that. But yeah, I honestly couldn't say. I feel like it's maybe leaning a little bit more towards Magic's getting cut, but I
mhm.
wouldn't say it's clear cut.
The other one, we didn't have this listed here, but I wanted to go through with you, is the G2 stuff. So,
Yep.
Nell is the guy who reported all of this one. Normally, with Nell, he gets all his information about Falcons from the French people at Falcons, and that gives him like the extra insight. So he's always the first doing it. But he's pretty spot on. I'll say Nell's stuff is pretty banger. Now, already some Pius and Saw are coming in, right? So Hades was just on loan. So Taz has gone. That's already been announced. By the way, that was I saw Taz still trying so hard at the major every game with all
Yep.
the players, like trying to push for change, trying to people who want to hate on him for like not being a smarter coach or not doing enough with the players he had. This guy was working damn hard. on his even though it was the last event and he knew he was being kicked, he was giving his all. And that must have been such a shit situation for a legend of Counter-Strike, by the way. Never disrespect Taz. You can say what you want for him as a coach, but this is a legend of the game since the early 1.6 days. Like, he's been playing since the beginning. He's been winning titles in every version of the game.
Yeah, I
And
think as you say, I agree. I mean, it's an incredible difficult thing. I've been, through it sometimes myself. When you're a coach, you have to kind of swallow the bad within you for the moment and try to pick
yeah,
up the pieces and find something positive, push people, even though you look at them and it's sort of like they've given up, and you have to kind of
yeah,
get the last out of them, because it's just one more game. This might be the last of it. Let's make sure we do the best until the very end and not give up
yeah,
early, because I think it's also very tough for the players to kind of feel motivated and driven and push past the feeling that it doesn't matter what I do, this lineup is dead to some degree.
yeah,
um so it's not only difficult for Taz, he also has pretty rough pieces to play with when everyone knows that the lineup is dead from the
yeah.
very get-go of the tournament. So
And
huge
so
respect.
the report we have here from Nell says G2 to bench Snax, Hunter to take over IGL role, interest for ex Kaspersky or Kaspersky. Here is my
Kaspersky.
report. Following the departures of Nico and Monasi in April, G2 have been left in a tricky situation ever since in the midst of rebuilding. Taz was already let go. They got Sniper, Sunpass, and Saw as the coach. According to sources, G2 has decided to continue its evolution and should hand over the IGL role to Hunter. As a result, the current leader of the roster, Snax, should be removed. With G2, the pole one, blah, 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 we know that. To replace him, various are on the list, but another pole seems to be at the top of the list, ex Kaspersky, 18-year-old player from Finland, has very good performances overall. We need to see him there, but it says the poll isn't the only player on the list. However, as there are other possibilities open to G2, nothing's been finalized yet. I like Hunter going to IGL role. He has turned it down. He said this on a long interview we did on my personal YouTube channel. Yeah. Back in
Yep.
the, I think it was Copenhagen Major, we filmed it. But he said G2 asked him multiple times to be IGL and he said no. Now he's looking to take it over, finally, if that's the case, if the reports are true. And that'll give them his ability and experience. He's been calling CT sides since Nico left anyway and been much more vocal. We've seen that. It's a good chance for him. It's a good opportunity, but like they need to hit some results quite early on. And like for me, they have a potential star players. Like Malbs has great potential. We know what he can do. Some Pius when he's on form is great, but I'm still missing an X Factor player. Maybe this ex Kapersky guy can be it.
Yeah, I mean, if I go back to the in-game leader part of Hunter, I think it's actually probably one of the better moves they can do.
Hmm.
Because I think in combination with Saw coming in, it's going to be, you know, a complete revamp of how they play, how they approach the game. I think So is going to come with a lot of his own kind of influence of how the game is run. So I think in that sense, comparably to having maybe Taz as the coach, it's going to be a
Yep.
lot easier for Hunter to kind of take that reign with with having So as a coach, from what I know of how he operates. So
Yeah.
I think it's a good move. I think it it's I think Hunter, first of all, he's always been super capable of being in an in-game leader. I think he has a lot of leadership abilities, just as a person, personality wise. He's
Definitely.
super calm. He's a great guy. He's someone you listen to. Uh, he Yeah, I think he's just great, and I think this is a role that will suit him, and I think that he can do a lot of good with it, and especially with growing into that in-game leading role with Saw, I think it's perfect for him.
Yeah.
And then bringing in some more firepower, like I don't know much about Kaspersky, or how do you pronounce it?
Ex
Ex
Kaspersky. I don't know how you say it. It's something like that.
Ex
Kaspersky used to be
Kaspersky.
an internet thing. Used to be an internet antivirus or something.
Yeah,
No, that's where
no
he got his
one, no
nickname
one could
from.
even pronounce it back then. But yeah, I think if they find one of these players that can do it, and let's say even if this project and influence might not work out, maybe they could pick Magisk up. Who knows? That's the in-game leader.
Ooh. Not sure I'm ready for that one yet, but we'll have to
Okay.
see.
There's always a plan B in case, but I do think it will work with him as an in-game leader,
Yeah,
and I think we're gonna see a lot different G2, but I'm excited for it. I think it's gonna be a lot better.
I'm just trying to get where is because we got to go on the Navi one as well.
The Navi one.
Yeah,
So the rumors out there is, I don't know who actually had this rumor. Is this rumor on HLTV as well? The JLIM
there's a lot of
breakout,
different places that start to talk about it.
or is this like some Reddit post?
No, it's from KRL, the French streamer. I before
Yeah,
said like he doesn't get too many accurate, but he had some more that had come up recently. But I'm just gonna check. We've got so many tabs open now.
yeah.
So it said it was a whole Cloud9 move, and then the Navi C. So the Academy team, yeah. Um, oh, that was it.
Oh
Wasn't
my,
even the Navi CEO. So it's on HLTV. So
yeah,
basically, Cloud9 CEO shuts down Navi Junior rumors. So supposedly, Cloud9, according to KRL, said in his stream that Navi Junior is going to be sold to Cloud9, but he came out, the CEO, and said this is a false rumor. The CEO himself.
yeah,
He said that's not happening. So cool. They're not coming back to Counter Strike yet. They're not ready for that. And I also think Navi would never sell their whole junior roster. They've been building this stuff for ages, and they got a lot of good players that keep coming up from it. Makazi, like everyone keeps talking about, the Kosovo player, right?
yeah.
But then also KRL did say about Navi players, and he said Navi considering benching IM and JL Makazi as a possible option. I'll just say this. From what I know, and this is not from inside Navi, because I like these players, I'm friends with these players. I wasn't going to touch on any roster moves with them. It's a horrible thing that they all need to go through, right? It's what Blade's going to look at. Alexi himself said in the interview he doesn't even know if he's safe when we did the exit one. So I asked him, would you like to stay? And he was like, yeah, he wants to stay. I don't think you're getting rid of Alexi. Blade would not get rid of Alexi when they've been working well together all this time, and look at the success they have. Bit is safe no matter if he has bad performance. I think Bit would have to, I don't know, he'd have to purposely throw games before he gets kicked. Like, it's not happening. He is the standout player for the team, even when
You
he
know
hasn't
a
been
bit,
shining as
right?
much. Yes.
So how would you say? Okay, you might not know this, but I'll ask you anyway.
Hmm.
Um, so would you say that Bit is the type of player that would need like a good environment when he plays to play good? Or would you say it doesn't really affect him that much?
I don't think it affects him because he spent his beginning part of his main career on full Navi, and like it must have been horrible for him, bro. Like, he survived main Navi, the breakup of main Navi, into rebuilding Navi into an English speaking team and changing language. So I think for him, it's
Okay.
about just playing the game. I just feel like from what we've heard from all the players, yeah, and what we've seen on the screens, is that the current Navi doesn't have that same enjoyment playing anymore. And something has to change now to almost humble them. We've spoke about this, right? About them getting humbled with all these losses to find their way again. But it seems like they're not on the same page anymore.
But okay, but just to back a little bit as well.
Hmm.
So it's way easier. It doesn't matter how toxic an environment is. If
Yep.
all the superstar players that you watched when you were younger are playing in that team, you can accept that, okay?
Yeah.
But when new players come in and you get the same environment, you will not accept it because you are
True.
now the star of that old team and new
Yeah.
players are coming in. You will have a completely different kind of foundation of how you want things to be.
Yeah, but
So
he's used to the Blaze system, so he knows that they like. For me, how many times I've said about Navi is when they're following the system and the individuals are all sticking to the plan,
yeah,
it works. When someone deviates, right, or makes a mistake or a misstep, then the system falls. It may be very easy to read Blade and read the calls and read the system, but it's still about dealing with the system. And how many times does Blade say in interviews, okay, we stopped following the system at this point. We got ahead of ourselves. We didn't do this, you know?
yeah.
It's hard without us knowing exactly every detail of the system. But like Apex says, nothing changed in Navi since he faced them nearly a year ago to where he played them today. They might think
Yeah.
they've changed some things, but he still understands what he's supposed to do and what he needs to do.
I
But he
mean,
says it's very hard to
sometimes
play
that
against.
can happen in teams. Not gonna say who or what, but I've had players where for over
You're teasing
four
us.
or 5 months
Hmm.
they still didn't know the insta smokes for Mirage window,
Yeah, that's not
and
acceptable.
it's just
That's not
like
fine.
you always have to go back and waste time
Yeah.
to kind of fix that, and that can kind of
But
make your progress much slower if you're constantly fixing problems that you thought are
mhm.
solved. And I think
But
that
that's it. A new problem
Navi is
happened every
kind
time
of
for
in that
Navi.
spiral where, like, okay, but we haven't even made the system work yet. You're still fucking up on this. And then you're so focused on this that you're not doing the next steps, right?
Yeah.
So that's probably what kind of, bad circle, or what do you call it? Not a death spiral, but a
Something
bad
similar. Yeah.
spiral. Uh,
Yeah.
they're in this bad spiral essentially of consistently fixing small things and gaps in the system, and they can't really move the system upwards.
And also, they're not getting the same individual output from the players they had, right?
No.
Like, we've seen it on cameras. They're not enjoying the way they were playing with each other as much anymore. There's more of this disconnect, and that's why probably why the CT sides are struggling more. You know, we need to play for each other a bit more. But like KRL said that it's considering benching IM and JL. Yeah,
Did you
I
see JL's tweet, by the way?
oh no, what did you tweet?
I think he tweeted himself in a FaZe jersey.
Yeah. He loves to troll and he knows how to get interactions. By the way, whenever he's done being a player, yeah,
Yeah,
this guy is going to fucking farm, stream, content, everything else.
yeah.
Yeah.
But you
And
see,
he's
he
got
he
he's got
posted.
aura
He
for
Did you see
days.
the tweet 18 hours
Yeah,
ago?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Him in the face jersey, like that. Smile on his face. Nice edit. No sponsors on there, so he doesn't get in trouble with Navi, but a good
Yeah,
edit. Very smart. But I'll say this, right? Imma's not the one that I've heard behind the scenes as a name that could be being replaced. I don't know. There could be maybe a jail change. He might even want that himself. But I know for a fact that like the one they were looking at is wonderful.
but who would they? Okay, let's say it is him.
Remember, they can
This
still
is
bring Simple
rumors.
back. They can still bring Simple back.
They could, yeah,
There is still
they
they
could.
no one can buy Simple right now. If FaZe wanted to, I'm not sure how much that would be, but it's gonna be very expensive. Wonderful for me is the one who is most he's like the most likely change. But remember, they can only change two players to keep this VRS points they have.
Yeah,
So
that's
like
true.
wonderful goes. So let's just say that first one. Then you need to find the second player in there. It's not going to be Bit. I hadn't heard of Imma, so could it be Alexi and Jail? By the way, I have not heard anything of anyone say it's Jail or Alexi, but it's more likely the Jail could be because you bring that Makazi kid in.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be interesting. Obviously, I do think Navi needs two changes. I don't know. Most of it isn't even because of how they play. I just feel like they're just.
It needs some new energy, man. It needs some new energy.
Yeah, they look deflated, and they have been for the entire year essentially.
And we're still at the very beginning of all this, by the way. We are still all in the beginning of this. I'm just laughing because my dog is just on camera.
Dog time. This is
Yep.
the dog
Look at her.
segment part of the podcast.
Oh, Snowy. She had a
We-
whole
we should-
month.
We should do this like with the two bowls. Who is leaving? JL or Alexei?
Just kissing my face now. Hello, hello.
Aw.
Attention. Daddy's doing podcast. Yeah. Look, podcast.
Everyone's gonna love this segment. This is gonna be everyone's favorite part of the whole podcast.
She's just been sleeping up here. She's waiting for mummy to come home because she's missed us for a month. Do you want to do a bowl segment, Snow? We put 2 treats in the bowl and you have to choose one, and that's the player that's getting removed. That would be fun. That would be fun. We'd like that.
Honestly, next major, let's do a bowl segment pick'ems.
Oh, bro, that could be diamond coin insta.
Yeah. Because
With how these
obviously
go.
we don't have the sauce, man.
No.
We don't have it in us.
It didn't work anymore, man. Is there any other roster? Oh, yeah, just to finalize on the Navi thing. Yes, Navi need changes. I'm 100% sure they are making changes. From the information I've heard behind the scenes, it's wonderful. And then maybe someone else. Do you think they need 2 changes, or would you just do 1?
100% too. I think
Okay.
it's very hard to change the mood of an entire team with making one change. I think that's just like putting blame every blame on one player, and that never works because you're all part of it. But changing 2, you're gonna change a lot. Like it's 40% of your team. A lot of different dynamics going to come in. I think a lot of people are going to show their best when 2 new players come in, comparably to one who kind of just settles into the new team and how it was. So I'd say they definitely need 2 changes if they want to, progress, I guess.
And MongolZ would fit role for role right with JL. That's what people say.
I haven't actually watched that much Navi Junior, I have to admit, but he seems to be a full-on entry fragger, so I guess so.
Yeah, that could be. And then because I don't think, why do people think him as a bad player? Why did he? I want to know why his name came up and he's going to be the one that's going to be kicked. Let's look at stats from the major. So Austin major.
I mean, I think in like very systematic ways of playing with structure, the ones that's going to make the most mistakes and deviate from the structure is probably going to be an entry fragger who plays a lot on the gut feeling, and doing it at the wrong time and
Costs you a lot.
getting a bad flow of it. It makes sense that it could be JL, but at the same time, it's impossible to know if you don't talk to people inside.
All right, so we just got done filming episode 18. We clicked end episode. Oh, everything's great. That was fun. Then you go and look at HLTV and you see Twitter as well. And you see Flamus has been removed from Virtus.pro. Then we then take a bit more time and all of a sudden, Perfecto joins. Now, this changes a lot of things for people to realize, just to understand the mathematics of this all. We're now putting this part of the episode in backwards of another part of an episode. And then at some point when we finish this conversation about Virtus.pro, Flamus, and Perfecto, it'll go to Dupreeh. And it might seem like a weird segue because we are just filming this at another time to make sure we covered it. If any more announcements come after this, it doesn't matter. Right now, it is the 26th of June, 2025, and it is 20 minutes past midnight for me in Ukraine, which means it's 11:19 for you, Mr. Devilwalk. And you're actually still in the 25th, so we're back on different days right now.
And I'm in a FaZe game, probably gonna get kicked soon, but we have to do what we have to do, right? So
exactly, we can't miss this. So let's talk about this first of all. Flamus certainly wasn't a bad player for this team. Yeah, no one's blaming him for not being good or something like that. I've said this on this podcast many times. He was used really well to his style in Gamer Legion. On VP, it didn't seem like he was getting used that way. This is
No,
a
not at
shocking
all.
move for me because he's a young player with talent, and I feel like he was set up to fail, and he did everything he possibly could. And I don't agree with this move. And then the other thing we have to add is before we get to the Perfecto conversation, Overdrive did also tweet just a few hours ago, or sorry, 17 hours ago. Flit and Fame can move to Paravision. Can, that's not anything, that's just a rumor. Organizations are in talks. Flit doesn't want to play for VP. Now, they can remove Flamus and Flit and keep their 3 for the VRS points, but they can't remove Fame, Electronic, or Icy that way. This is kind of crazy, but do you now change your viewpoint on this Flamus move? The fact that they get Perfecto and he goes for free. They didn't have to pay anything for him. He was a free agent.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know exactly what shape Perfecto actually is in. Last
Yeah.
time I saw him, he didn't look like his old self, so to speak. So I don't know if it's really an upgrade. I'm sure it's an upgrade in terms of experience, knowing
Mhm.
how electronic calls, they have a better understanding with each other. But in
Yeah.
terms of firepower and potential, I don't really know at what level Perfecto is. Obviously, he has a great experience or a great career in Navi and everything behind him. So I'm sure
Yep.
he'll be able to get up there. But how fast is that going to be? Um, I can't tell. But this feels like more of a move that you know try to make Electronic happy, try to have a little bit of more of a wingman with him to make sure that people follow the calls, that
Yep.
the structure works around him, and he has another person that understands his vision of the game.
Well, and this is it, right? There's all good having this relationship. Even on Cloud9, there was still moments where I looked to Perfecto and said, yeah, he's still got it. But now, if I look at his last event, he was on Cloud9, was Esports World Cup Close Qualifier 2024. So he's had over a year off from like actual good competition.
Yep.
That's a bit of a problem. I Am
Yeah, it's a
Chengdu was
long
the last
time.
real event he was at, and that took place in April 2024. So it's over a year of not playing on a pro team, not playing at a high level. I'm sure he's still active. He's obviously still smart. He's still playing, but he's not playing on this level of competition. It's a
No, but
bit of a risk.
it is a risk, and also like he's probably going to have to grind a lot during the summer break, and I'm sure he
Yeah.
is. Uh, but how positive that actually is, I don't know.
Mm.
Considering I've seen players do this before, where they just grind through an entire break time. They're just coming back. They think they're gonna smash everyone because they've kind of preemptively grinded, and they kind of lose
Yeah.
their mental in some sense because. Some players are not going to be grinding as much as him, and he's going to be on a
Yeah.
level or more prepared early on and have higher expectations than other people. So we'll see how that goes. If it becomes this thing where you know he rages a lot more because of that, or isn't as
Yeah.
well rested as the other guys has to go into the season, I don't know.
But the
But that's
thing
just
is,
me,
right?
like kind of spiraling away in my thoughts of how things could end up being.
It's not like I think he's old because 25 is not old. And it's
Yeah,
not like I think he's a bad player. But I feel like yeah, you get Perfecto for free, great. But Flammers is a player you'd want to mold more or play with more for the future with the skills you've got, the mechanics you've seen him
yeah.
have. And that's my issue with this is like you I'm not sure if he's the right player you want to drop. Flit and Fame, okay, they've won a major with VP, they're long life VP players. But if Flit really wants to go, then this is yeah, imagine if Flit goes and they just they bring Flammers back from the bench? Or maybe they made this move to make people happy and then we'll say, like, yeah, this is the team we want to stay with. This is
Yeah,
kind of crazy.
I don't know. Maybe it's just like let's see how it is. We still have Flamas. Maybe they don't have an intention of selling him. Maybe
Yeah.
he gets to work a little bit on his mental because he's clearly affected by these 5 months in VP and performance wise. So maybe he needs a break from it as well. Who knows? So it could be a thing where it works out in both ends, and maybe they also, in case something happens, you know they can still put Flamas in and keep the VRS points. In case
Yeah.
of Flit and Fame.
You then have to start questioning things on poor Flamus, right? How he'd feel. But obviously, we don't know what's going to happen. Maybe nothing bad will happen for the rest of the team. I want to also say on Perfecto, he just had a kid, his first kid, I believe. So he's probably extra mega motivated, that can be a positive thing. There are some positives, but it really relies on what active version of Perfecto we get. Is he going
Yeah.
to come back and be beast mode? Is he going to come back in better shape than we saw him in Cloud9 times? Can he quickly level up? Because they will still have invites because they're placing as a team to big events. So he'll need to shine very early on. And the only positive factor I can see straight off the bat is just the fact that him and Perfecto play together. The rest is still, we got to wait
It's a
and
bit
see.
iffy. I don't know if it's a
Yeah.
positive or negative yet. We'll see how it is. But yeah, feels like
Well,
electronic perfecto. They go
Electronic
hand in
probably
hand.
wanted them in. Yeah, they're coming together hand in hand. Electronic's hand on the Perfecto drill because Perfecto's name is to do with some
Yeah.
drill or some shit that he decided with all that. Either way, we came back just to film this special part. Devilwalk can go back to face it, and you guys can enjoy us talking about Dupreeh. So one more thing on like roster moves we'll get to before we talk about some tournament stuff is Dupreeh announced his retirement from competition during the major, and like Dupreeh is a full legend. It's great to have him on the desk, by the way. He's been doing fantastic work there. He's obviously had 2 kids now as well. Um, he'll end with his last team being the little Falcon stint he had. Obviously, at the moment on Preezy before that as well. His Falcon stint was only a year, or just over a year, should I say. Um, it was less than a year actually in terms of actually playing, and he was on the bench for quite a long time. Um, but this is a guy who won the most majors of all time, 5 majors. Never MVP, but a consistently good player, great role player. Um, it's a huge loss to the community. There's so many players that want to chase what he's doing. Only
Yeah.
Apex has got more notable trophies than him now with this major win.
Yeah, I
He's a
think
legend.
he's an absolute legend. I think he's been, such a good player for such a long time. I even remember competing against him myself. Uh, always been that aggressive player, willing to go first, but having all kinds of things. Always a nice guy, super pleasant guy to be around.
Even Orped
Um,
at one point.
even Orped at one point. Uh, I'm not sure
Uh,
that is what he will be remembered for, but
Bro, look at the consistency as well in the top 20.
yeah,
18th, 2013, 16th, 2014, 12th, 2015, 10th, 2017, 5th, 2018, 16th, 2019, 9th,
I
2020.
remember when he was dubbed, with device, the double D's. Um,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah, they were a super strong duo, the double D's.
Oh, yeah. So he never had a major MVP, but he's still got a ESL Pro League Season 7 Finals MVP and a Blast Pro Series Global Final MVP. That's
He
solid.
did have a device in his team.
Yeah, it's kind of hard at that point, right? It is kind of
It's
tough.
it's like saying Messi never had a major MVP.
Hey, don't say it. Could happen.
I'm not saying it won't happen. I'm just saying ZywOo and Rops are there.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. Robs is gunning for MVP. Man. He's just sat behind ZywOo saying, "Come on, have a bad tournament. Drop this one for us, please." But obviously, the fact he won the last CS:GO major, I think, is very beautiful in that sense. 5 majors, all in CS:GO, 4 with Astralis, 1 with Vitality, all with Zonic. It's crazy. What a career! And bro, when he was on stage and he was crying, oh, I wish Freya hugged him. I wanted to hug him. I was watching that and I'm thinking, oh no, like he was getting me emotional, man.
Yeah,
Very
I
emotional.
saw the clip. It was
It was hard for him.
yeah,
It was so hard. And also, you're doing it in front of all them people. But he was getting lovely cheers from the crowd and support as well. Oh man.
beautiful moment. Absolute legend of the game.
And he'll be able to spend some more time with us on the desk now, which is good. So we
Yeah,
still keep him around.
I remember. So actually, I met him. I can't remember which ESL Pro League. It was EMS, I think.
Hmm.
One of them, and we started talking to each other, and spoke Danish and I spoke Swedish. We're
Hmm.
talking to each other for like, let's say, 4 minutes together. And every
Yeah.
time one of us would say a sentence, someone would say like, "What? What? What did you say?" Like repeat it, because we couldn't quite understand each other. And then he just said, "Fuck it, why are we doing this to ourselves? Let's just speak English."
Yeah, that makes more sense. Definitely for you guys. Oh man.
Lovely memory of Dupreeh.
But I wish him the best of luck going forward and in the future. The next thing to look at, which is away from roster news now, we're going into a bit of tournament news. The first part of Blast Open tournaments are now moved to online. This has some implications, and I'm still not sure how we got here or why we got here. Blast Bounty already last year, which was awesome, right? We enjoyed the format. We liked what we saw there. But that was already online, and then the 8 teams who make it in this crazy single elimination best of threes go to the finals.
Yep.
And then that's in the studio. And that studio now is Malta. They got a new deal with like Gaming Malta. So we already left Malta with ESL. Now we've come back with Blast in a different way. But the thing that's crazy is last time, Open Lisbon was in the studio in Denmark. And then we all went, including the players, on flights from Denmark to Portugal. This one would be from Denmark to London. They've changed Open and the tournaments will be held online. Now, this has massive VRS implications because these are not LAN matches. That makes it more of a risk. Now, there are obviously deals where teams have said, we will go to your events and you get, what is it? I'm just going to make sure I read it correctly. Yeah, the Blast of Frequent Flyer program. Yeah.
Yep.
But this isn't positive for teams who might say,
They
okay,
have
look,
to
if
grind
we lose
online events.
Yeah. Online Open is wild. I'm wondering if there's a possibility they can change it, but that's not a good sign. Because do you want to risk it going to this Blast Open online, which is still going to be tough? Like, let me see. How many teams are there for the online portion?
But I wonder if,
I think it's
like the
16.
tournament, is it phrased the way, like, because an online cup to me is different compared to an event. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so this would be, right? Online, looking at it, there is 16 teams and 6 go to the LAN finals, not 8.
I hate that.
So only 6 teams go to London. So 10
It's
teams
because
wouldn't
they're
make it
doing
there.
I don't like there's 2 semifinalists and 2 quarterfinals set up. I think it's so bad. I don't like that at all.
Was Lisbon the same?
I think all blasts.
Yeah, Lisbon was the same. And then, by the way, this would mean that if there are not these other contracts behind, where teams are signing up to go to Blast, go to ESL events, it's good for a team, in some cases, to go to the Fissure LAN for 1.5 million prize pool, the PGL LAN for 1.25 million prize pool, because it's all on LAN. But sorry, Fissure's only 1 million. I told 1.5
And the
is
online cup,
next
it
year.
doesn't even matter if you do well in it because it doesn't have any prize money, right?
Yeah. Well, there's some prize money.
Even on the online stuff.
Yeah, because the teams that don't make it would get prize money.
Okay.
So the online open part would be after LAN finals, 7th to 8th get 10,000, 9th to 12th get 7,500, 13th to 16th get 5,000. So the money will help with that, but it's not solving the problem. So that is a bit of a risk because you've opened up like this Fissure and the other PGL events. People will be more interested in attending.
Oh. Well.
Kind of crazy. So Mezii also said, teams knew for a while now, but Blast hit it in there barely. Blast Open Tournament now is group stage online. This means Blast has removed 24 LAN matches from their calendar, leaving only 5 playoff matches. This likely destroys the VRS value of the tournament, as HLTV should now make the groups essentially an online closed qualifier, meaning it loses the prize money modifier from the group matches alongside the LAN value. Oh.
Yeah, that's bad.
And then this other guy, his game's Jesper Larson says, yeah, the frequent fire program better be very lucrative. An event's VRS impact is a direct function of a number of LAN matches offered much more so than the prize pool, which is the way also worse in Blast events. This change only devalues their own events' VRS relevance and increases the value of other events. Blast events are now close to irrelevant for VRS gain and should be on top of the list of tournaments to skip for top teams if the strategic decision is to secure a blast stage 3 qualifier for the major.
That's
Oh.
actually insane.
And then Mezii also said, please delete this. I don't need other teams knowing this. Oh my lord. Someone at Blast must be making this a change now. There must there's gotta be. I'm confused. I'm hella confused.
They probably don't even know how much this actually
No.
impacted their
Surely
VRS.
they do. Sure, they've like Messi also said they've spoken to teams, like so they must. These guys must be talking, or am I giving them too much credit?
But then what? It doesn't really make sense
Mm,
because, oh man, I think it's just. I mean, to some degree, I mean, I kind of want PGL to feel more important for all teams and all, like in some sense, just because they're new in the space. I've always liked them. They always treated me well,
yeah,
and all the teams that attended PGL events, worked with PGL at some events. They've always been really, really good to work with, super chill guys. So, in that sense, for some kind of weird friendship vibe I have with them, I would love for them to have a little bit more of the
yeah, but
community.
this is crazy because ESL Pro League. Remember, the first stage is online,
Yeah.
so that's gone to online, and then is it stage 2? Wait, I think it might. Is it just playoffs that are offline now?
Uh,
It
uh,
might be just
uh,
playoffs.
might be, yeah, because they're not in Malta anymore. Or is it
No, they're
completely
not
online?
more. It's not completely online.
Which season are we on?
This will be season 22.
22. Because they're doing it in stage one.
Stockholm. So stage 1 is online, right?
It says location Sweden.
Because they're
But
bringing
this
back like
surely this
a
must be
LAN
online.
final. Yeah. I think they're bringing back a LAN final and then it's online for the rest of it. I saw that.
Seems to be group Swiss and playoff. I have to check this up. I don't actually know. But it says here, if I look on the HLTV page for
Mm-hmm.
ESL Pro League Season 22, October 3rd to October 12th, 2025, they're kind of copying the major system. They have a group Swiss and then a playoff with quarterfinals, semifinals, and grand finals. And it seems to be a 16-team event with 8 teams invited through the VRS Global.
Yep.
And right now invited are Vitality, Mouse, Spirit, MongolZ, Falcons, Aurora, FaZe, and Navi. And then there's 8 spots for that comes from stage 1.
Mm-hmm.
And stage 1 right now has Lin Vision, Bait, Energy, Fluxo, and Rooster. So
It might be not.
this can't even be online.
No,
How
it might be the next season then. It might be the season after that.
okay, yeah.
Because I saw something about it. So if we
There's a
go
stage
23
2.
stage 1. Yeah, look, stage. Okay, so I'm wrong. You're correct.
Yeah.
ESL Pro League season 22, Stockholm, Sweden. Season 23, first stage, online, says it here on HLTV.
Okay.
Second stage, online. And then LAN finals for 8 teams,
All right.
starting in quarters. And then even having a third place decider. So that brings a lot of value, as in the top 8.
Yeah,
Because that's all on LAN, third place decider. That's a great format.
so actually having third place deciders instead of like show
Mm-hmm.
matches or something is actually valuable for the weight of the
Everyone.
tournament.
Yep. And VRS.
Yeah, for the VRS, right?
But this is crazy, right? So that's more tournaments are going to these online parts. So next year, even more online. It's great that the ESL Pro League still has qualifiers, but this decision from Blast is like, I don't understand it fully. especially if this is so like everyone's clear that this is not a good option. We'll have to wait and see how it goes.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. But yeah, I hope this is just a let's say trend that is short-lived, that more and more is moved to online. Um and yeah, I don't want everything to be online. We're losing the RMRs, we're losing group stage, we're losing so much emotions and feelings and big moments for smaller teams. Um, oh, I see the doggy in the background walking
She's running
around.
around.
Got distracted.
I got more notes on this as well. So
Yeah.
that same Jesper guy said about what you wrote. I can see that on Bounty Online is already its own event on HTV and land spots as prize pool. That means it'll have minimum event weight of 0.143, which is calculated on Valve's GitHub, as if prize pool is $0. An absolute nightmare risk versus reward wise for higher ranked teams. There is close to no VRS points to gain unless you hit the semis as a top team. It's all risk and almost no reward. Lower ranked teams don't risk much participating, but also have very little reward. If you even upset a big team in the online stage, it'll be very low value win in terms of the start ranking gained. You will basically only get the head to head adjustment reward. And then Graham Mezii from Complexity says, yes, that is why I said the Open should also move to being split into the same $0 closed qualifier plus LAN event with full prize. Makes it a very interesting event to participate in from a lot of angles. No travel potentially, so less challenging on schedule, risk versus reward, etc. Dude, it's so much in there. So much.
Yeah. There is we'll see how that goes, but it then looks like PGL might be the most lucrative tournament to actually attend to get VRS stuff.
Other than obviously like your clones, your Katowices
Yeah,
and the
yeah, yeah.
majors itself, right? Rivals will still be good though. Yeah, Blast Rivals, which goes to Hong Kong,
Yeah.
which is a cool location. So Blast Rivals would still be. Where's Blast Rivals? Location. So Hong
Wow.
Kong would be 8 teams all at LAN.
Okay.
Yeah, all at LAN. $350,000 prize money. Doesn't say exactly how the prize money is split yet. But they also have, so this is crazy. Their one's slightly different. They, same as what they did with the previous rivals, 4 invited from VRS, and then 4 wildcard invites. 1 EU, 1 NA, 1 SA, 1 Asia.
Is that like how this like locked region stuff has affected some teams? Like
Oh yeah, yeah.
so this is included with that, right? They can't
Yeah,
just get
they'd have to
wildcard
be from.
invites.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
The wildcard invite would have to be a European team,
Yeah.
then an NA team, then a South American team. And obviously, depending on the team it picks, that could be really beneficial for a team's VRS points going up against these guys if they can get a win on LAN.
So wildcard can't get that invite, right?
Wildcard can't get NA right now, no.
Yeah.
Complexity could. Team Liquid can't. Team Liquid could only get a European one.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, from there, that's everything. Just
That's
our
everything.
Q&A. Just
Let's
our
go.
Q&A. And it's just for us.
It's just for us.
All right.
A
Scorga,
Scourger, the
as
MVP.
always, MVP of questions. He never misses. He says, which team or teams that weren't at the Austin Major do you believe will qualify for the Budapest Major?
Ooh.
Fnatic might have a chance.
NIP might have a chance as well. Should we?
Yeah.
You'll take Fnatic. I'll say NIP. I think NIP are in a position where they can finally start grinding some VRS points. They didn't look bad when we saw them play on LAN. They looked competitive against some teams, so I think a little bit more time. I'm not saying they will be like competing for the title, but I think that if we could get Like some of the teams that qualify for this major, I see NIP even right now being stronger than some of the teams that qualified.
Yeah, definitely. Who else
So
is
yeah.
outside of like top 32 that might be interesting?
Okay, which guest?
Passion UA could also be an option.
Okay,
They continue to do well.
yeah.
Oh, you want to go next question? Next question? Yeah.
Ah,
Go
well,
on, read
Passions
it out.
UA, 100%. They won
Yeah.
the glitched event as well,
Yep.
so
You
that's a good
saw him.
shout. Yeah, I met TC there for a quick hi.
Did you ask him anything?
Fuck, honestly, it was such a quick one. We were talking Swedish, and I just saw him. I was like, "What the fuck? Hey, man."
Oh, you need to get some insight, man. You don't have your podcast brain on.
Well, I mostly asked him about because there was these massive delays at the event,
Yeah.
like how it affected him, and he thought that Fnatic would win if I don't remember because they didn't have to wait so long
Yep.
for they were the least affected by the delays, at least
Yep.
something along those lines. But they won anyways. Passions, so
All
that
right.
was
Next
essentially
question.
what
Read
he
it
thought.
out.
Okay, which guest was the most interesting, fun, or memorable to interview on a podcast? This is from Shadow Honta Dog.
Hmm. Which guess is
Um,
interesting?
I think it's oh, this is a really tough one, honestly. I think there's so many. I mean, how do you even categorize this? I mean, I think the biggest or memorable for me was probably like the Monacy one. It was the first
Mhm.
one. I was honestly a little bit starstruck and nervous going into that.
I remember you saying that.
Yeah, so I think that one, and also like it was huge for obviously the podcast because we've been grinding a couple of episodes and kind of having that huge hit with a lot of people having their eyes on it, listening to it,
Yeah, that
quoting
got
us,
crazy.
and kind of spreading the podcast throughout was super important.
Yep.
But I'll also say that NQC one was really interesting for me because out of all guests, I already knew some things about them. NQC for me was very unknown, and I got to
Yeah.
kind of get to know someone in a new light that I hadn't before. So I'll probably say those two.
For me, I'll just try and give one. Probably Hooksy. Because I knew most of the Munacy stuff, right? I had that close
Yeah,
relationship with him anyway. So it was great to do. I love speaking to Munacy all the time, but it wasn't like new information for me, you know?
yeah,
Only some of it. But Hooksy was eye-opening. He was yapping so much. It was just enjoyable to film. Like I kept being surprised with what he was saying and his thoughts. He's very honest and open.
yeah.
Yeah, Hooksy, Giga Chad wins massively on that. Oh, Zappel then says, "What was your favorite episode to record?" A slightly different question. You know, my favorite episode to record was the very first one because we didn't have a fucking clue what we were doing. we were just we were just trying. We just
Yeah,
came
I
together.
remember I was like I remember being so stale. I don't think I showed that much personality in the
It
first
was not the
one
same as you are
because
now.
no. I think I tried to be a little bit too like broadcasty, trying to like okay, we have a 20-second segment right now. You can only get your point across, and then it was total silence. So I think
But it
we
was even
didn't
hard for
really get
me.
in line the first episode, even though it was
Mhm.
very fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of learning. It was
Yeah.
chaotic. It was new for both of us. It was a bit stressful as well, but it made it the favorite. Oh, next one from Yosh says, "What made Devilwalk decide to coach BNE?"
So for me,
Me.
well, Banks raised the question,
I put
posed
it
the idea to
together.
me, and I think there was a lot of interesting bits. I think, especially if we look back in CS:GO, they were super aggressive. I liked playing like spread out, aggressive Counter Strike. That's what I've you know been brought up in the Fnatic days of old.
Yep.
So also that in combination with I liked the guys, I liked watching them play. Um, I felt like it was a fun thing for me to do, something new, something that would give me a fresh perspective, working with people who speak a different language. And I still to this day, I think it was amazing to be part of that team. I love the guys. I think they are all amazing in their different ways. And I wish them all the absolute best. Even though they were a pain in the ass to work with sometimes, I love them, and I think that they all have the potential to get back there. They just need to get back on that grind set
Yeah.
and do what they did in CS:GO, and kind of lower their expectations of where they are right now, and they'll be back for sure. I know.
Next question. We're going to say this for going for you again. It says, what do you consider your proudest moment and biggest regret from your time as a coach?
Oh,
That's hard.
okay. Biggest regret as a coach. This is just with a mixed team.
Oh,
Or I remember we were playing in Chaos. I was coaching. It was like Pleasant, Freddy Frog, Relaxa, and two other guys. And I remember being 1
two other
minute
guys.
too late to checking in to the major qualifier.
No.
Yep.
No.
That is,
Devilwalk.
yeah, that's my biggest regret. I even I
Oh.
was on the page, had
Oh.
everything ready, and I missed it by 1 minute. On my clock, it was
Bruh.
at, because you have to check in 30 minutes before.
Yeah.
So I think it was like 18:30 or something. Um, and we were doing a scrim before, um, whilst just to like when the
Oh.
actual tournament starts, we
I
just
feel
jump
pain
into a
for you.
game. And at 20:30, I go out, I press check in, and I think I was 25 seconds too late to press the button or something like that.
But why did you
And
not check
I've
in
never,
earlier? I'm
well,
sorry, I'm
it
making
was
this
only
worse for you.
open. It was only open for a short amount of time. I can't remember if it was
Okay.
15 minutes or 30 minutes that you could check in, something along those lines. Uh, and I remember messaging, ESEA admin literally a minute after saying like, please, can you guys help me? I messed up, blah blah blah. They
Yeah.
unfortunately didn't help me out. Uh,
Wow. You'd already
and
won a major as a coach by this point as well, right?
yeah,
Disrespectful
and
ESCA.
it was, oh, I still to this day feel so bad.
Dude, I feel bad. I never heard this story before. I feel bad. This is awful.
It's terrible.
Oh, I bet you never made that mistake again.
Never.
Jesus.
It's
Um,
oh,
let's go. Let's flip that because we got into sadness. What's the proudest one?
I think proudest moment is 100% the first major. We
You
made
were
a
a player then. You were not a
yeah.
coach then.
I was
This says it's your time as a
I was
coach.
coach.
I got you.
Damn.
I got you.
Well, honestly, my proudest moment is like making the changes to at that time make Fnatic the best team in the world. Having, the balls to kick myself, putting Crimson Olaf in my spot, along with Schneider leaving. I thought it was an incredibly tough decision to make, and I knew that it would gain a result, and it was at a time where JW wanted to leave for NIP back in
Ooh.
those days. I convinced
Ooh.
him to stay. Uh,
You said I'll bench myself. Just please
no,
stay.
I said I will. I said essentially that in 3 months I'll fix you the best team in the world.
Well, you did
That's
it.
yeah.
Well done. Genius moves.
That's
By the way,
my
look. You had these great questions. Guess what question I get next? From Rico Veen. He says,
smash or pass.
smash or pass Hooksy? Well, Hooksy back in G2 days, pass. Hooksy right now, he looking good. Has been gym, definitely smash.
That's a great question.
Don't encourage these people. That's a great question. That's not what we need.
That's a great
I still
question.
I still answered it, but Jesus. Oh man. But with that, episode 18 is done. We wrapped it. Thank you very much for everyone watching. I didn't tell Devilwalk this at all, by the way. I've not said anything about this. We had so many people in person for the first time at any event. This has never happened. Never. At Austin Major, they were saying, I love the All About Counter-Strike podcast. I love your podcast with Devilwalk. Like, I'm just walking through the hall and they're saying, like, we love your podcast. One guy's like, I watch every episode. I listen on Spotify. Dude, that means so much to me because I've never heard that. So there you go. Look, we're even getting love in person at events, Devil. It's happening.
Well, that's how you know you made it then, I guess. That's amazing. No, but honestly, it's so encouraging. It makes, means the world to us. We've been grinding now for about 6 months, a little bit more than
Yeah.
6 months, pumping out episodes, staying up late nights, and
Grinding.
I think we would have still done it even if we had the same viewership as the first episode. But we
Doesn't
kind
matter.
of just want to make it better and better and better and hope help it grow. And I mean, you
Yep.
guys are the only part that makes it grow. So we love you for that, and thank you so much.
Yep. Thank you, everyone, wherever you are in the world, for watching. Also, if you're watching on YouTube and I can see all the comments, just tell me what country you're watching from, like where you're watching from.
Ooh.
I'd love to know. But for everyone, as always, in case you don't know, in case you're watching on a different platform, we are out on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, basically any audio platform that you would listen. We have got you covered. It's out every time. We don't miss on it. You can also go to allaboutcs.gg and get all the latest information, all the latest episodes there. Check out all the options of how you can watch, listen, and enjoy the podcast. We got a very special guest, maybe not on the next episode, but coming real soon.
Also,
Oh,
you know who fixed me a new chair?
oh yeah. You're spoiling it, but
Banks
yeah.
is fixing me a new chair,
He's
everybody.
not
So
gonna be on
everyone
this
from the
shit
YouTube,
anymore.
this one will be gone on Monday.
Oh, we have to wait. 100% can't film an episode before Monday now because Devil has to get his new chair fitted. But yeah, he'll finally be off that and actually be
I'll
able to sit in
not be
some
the
comfort.
laughing stock anymore.
Even my players love the way Hooksy reacted to your chair. Oh, it's amazing. I will miss that. We should just keep it as a relic in the background. I think that'd be cool. That'd be a good way to do it.
Yeah.
But either way, we're done. We're dusted for episode 18. As I already trying to say before Devil jumped in about the chair. Not maybe the next episode if we do a roster episode with all the shuffles, but very soon we're getting a member from Vitality joining us. Can't spoil who it is just yet, but stay tuned. See you on the next episode. Thanks for watching. Bye.